Really, Fennah? Really? Face down, cheeks up? That's some crazy work for a book cover. But anyways, it got me to read it. I am Cubanoid, the personification of someone's hyperfixations, and recently I discovered a book called Amygdala by Fennah. It was the brilliant voice actor Dwayne Joseph Elson in this particular video that piqued my interest. I hope to see him in bigger projects, but just so we're clear, I'm not sponsored, nor am I associated with him. I'm just a casual fan that enjoyed his performance. But back to the book. The book's description questions what it means to be sentient. Quote, Amygdala is a city of animals born to a world of swirling fractal chaos who learn the art of civilization. Their government was forged in fire, ruled only by the objective truth of all things, with no room for incompetence, mercy, or even morality. Their city, the Underearth, holds within it the greatest collection of animal minds, born of mechanical systems designed to test everything. Natural, cultural, and industrial selection. Their art is beguiling, their science boundless, their bodies strong, lean, and perfect. And yet, amidst the beauty of a culture ruled by absolute competence, some may ask, what is the cost of civilization? When do animals stop being animals? Is there another way? On paper, this book should be incredible. The premise is ambitious, the scale is enormous, but in reality, it becomes something very, very different. Instead, we get a self-indulgent, pro-eugenic, casually erotic world where every character speaks in monologues and the reader is rarely trusted to think for themselves. And this is just the beginning. This novel is over 1,000 pages long. It may be the only video on my channel that's split into 3 parts. And today, we're going to explore Act 1. First, I will summarize the major events of each chapter so that we understand the plot of the novel. Then, we will examine what the novel does well, what the novel does poorly, and finally, for those who stick around to the end, I will put in a sneak peek of Part 2. But first, a disclaimer. I want you to listen very closely. Very, very closely. This video contains critical analysis and commentary on the work discussed. All observations are of my own and are directed towards the novel and its writing, not the author as a person. In fact, I encourage the fans of Fennah to watch this video because there are actually interesting things. I just fail to see how are there so many diehard fans of this particular author's work when there are so many blatantly obvious mistakes and objectively terrible writing decisions? But let us begin. The author opens with a disclaimer of his own. Quote, Nature is great and beautiful as it is terrible and macabre, and the following story takes place in an animal world. The views of the characters and their culture are not the views of the author. This book is not a promotion of ideas, but an exploration of ideas. This book contains content that may be considered upsetting, frightening, or distressing. Creativity, as I have found, means seeing more in all directions, and not all paths are pleasant to tread. It is, I think, a far wider spectrum. It is the rainbow and the river of blood below it. Steel yourself. Well, he did warn us. That's only fair, even if it does come off as pretentious. Yet this book is not disturbing in the way you would think. Prologue. It begins on a plane of existence called the Kivawak, a universe before the Big Bang. It is a chaotic realm, ruled by a beast named Fennah, a mountainous creature who roamed and governed with absolute brutality. Simple, eat or be eaten. And in this constant battle to simply survive, the Kivawakians evolved something extraordinary. Immortality. And that's where the first problem appears. Evolution requires death. So I ask, how did the Kivawakians evolve if there's no natural death to pass on favorable traits to future generations? This is not a minor inconsistency, but a gaping plot hole that remains unanswered as of Act 1. Now, I was only a few pages in when I discovered something else about the author. He has an unbridled obsession, somewhat called a hyperfixation on specific anatomical features across all of his female-coded characters. And this pattern appears so frequently and so often that it overshadows what could have been a genuinely compelling narrative. So, as evidence to my deconstruction, I will keep count, not to mock or exaggerate, but to measure and display how the narrative is consumed by it. You are free to pause and read the text for yourselves, but I won't, because I'm not risking demonetization. The only portions I will read are the well-constructed scenes, as there aren't many. Here is a photo of Fennah, the beast of the glaze. I had to censor it because these particular anatomical features are what he obsesses over, but this one image is mild in comparison to the graphic and detailed descriptions of almost every female character that is to come forward. So, moving on. Locket is the daughter of Fennah, and she sought to end this madness. Similar to the story of David and Goliath, she killed her mother and freed the aliens, and the new age of civilization began. Locket builds the city, the Underbirth. She builds it high in the sky, or whatever the sky equivalent is in this universe, above the headless, contorted body of her mother in the glaze, with the glaze is an endless force. The Underbirth is an inside-out world divided into three primary sectors. The casino, home to the lowest class creatures, it is the largest region. At the center lies the Thuum, roughly around the size of Mars. It is where the strongest and most intelligent Kivawakians reside. And encircling the Thumb are 5 massive rings collectively known as the Hammerlow. Here, the middle class thrive, forming a bridge between those above and those below. Once the city was complete, Locket wrote laws. Simple, creatively named Locket's Laws, and every amendment from the other powerful Kivawakians must fall under her. No questions asked. Doesn't sound like a dictator at all. Yeah, anyone who questions Locket in society is considered stupid, and stupidity is killed. Interestingly enough, we get a passage that perfectly summarizes what the book thinks it is. It's quite a beautiful delusion. In fire, metal, blood, and ink, Locket's home was forged. There came the Long Watch, the Freudian Loyalist, the Howler War, and the Trade Revolution. This birthed the golden epoch of Locket's Law, and the Kivawakians who followed her splendid ambition lived lives beyond previous frontiers of imagination, dressed in chains, silk, and fabric, bespectacled and hatted they were, the writers and speakers of an expanding language, the authors and citizens of law. The animals had become civilized. Then the author proceeds to ruin it by breaking the fourth wall in the prologue, saying, quote, "Please note, the world to which you're about to embark does not adhere to earthly sensibilities, morals, or principles. The Kivik animal therein are potent, hazardous, and carnal beings. With this in mind, tread carefully upon this odyssey." Chapter 1, Part 1. Every chapter begins with a law written by someone in the Thuum. To summarize this one, it just says, if you create a chemical, it must be submitted for review. And if not, you and the chemical will be destroyed. We're introduced to Lucy Lacemaker. She's a Fowler, native to the town of Viaborn. Before Lucy speaks a single word or does anything, we get an entire page describing what she looks like, even though there's an illustration at the end of this section. Much like the author's indulgence in female anatomy, there's another pattern. It's predictable and exhaustive. Soon, I learned that in Amygdala, whenever a character receives an entire page or even multiple pages of description, they are one of 3 things: extremely important to the plot, utterly useless to the plot, or a demonstration in the author's uncanny ability to write with one hand. Now, the story begins to move. Lucy's perched upon a rooftop watching the adults below with envy, jealous of the right to simply exist. But she's searching for someone, but the reason is unknown. Two others, Fido and Clyde, join her on the rooftop, and they argue, trying to warn Lucy, for she has a reputation for lingering around the dangerous adult Kivix. The argument escalates until they are throwing bones at each other. One of them misses and smacks the creature below. The two useless characters panic and scramble, while Lucy stays to apologize. Strange how in this brutal society where simply existing at the wrong place at the wrong time can get you killed, this random adult Kivwakin doesn't snatch Lucy from the rooftop and make her into a meal. We soon learn that she's searching for a creature named Goldun, and instead of showing us why she's looking for him, the author spends multiple paragraphs on how Lucy Lacemaker is incredibly skilled in the art of psychology, specifically the art of detecting lies. You know what would have been so much better? If he showed us that skill when she was talking and bickering with Fido and Clyde. We as readers do not care for Lucy Lacemaker. Despite all that, one line describes the underbirth in this entire novel more accurately than the hundreds of pages combined. This was a culture built upon the humiliation of the weak and the admiration of the strong. And after reading this far in the book, I can 100% confirm that humiliation is not just a theme, it's a national pastime. Subchapter 2. The next 2 pages are spent explaining that the underbirth runs on a barter system, and that Lockett destroyed the previous money-based economy during what was called the Trade Revolution. We are told that everyone who was pro-coin in the revolution was butchered like pigs and made an example of, but Lockett is wrong. Later in this act, we meet a survivor, and he's one of the best written characters in this entire novel. It just sucks that he's stuck in this novel. Above, Lucy begins to stalk as she spots the rugged blue-furred fellow below. That is Goldun. As a reader, we have no idea why she's following him and what this means to her, so why should we care for this mission? There's no stakes, there's no foreshadowing, not even a blunt explanation as to why she's following him. We are simply here to observe. But only in the last subchapter of this chapter 1 do we get the final reveal as to why Lucy cares about Goldun so much, but by the time it's too late. Readers do not invest in mysteries without signals. We invest in stories that show us why we should care. So, I don't care for her struggle, and I'm surprised if you do. But since I'm a completionist, of course I'm going to continue. Goldun saunters over to a laugh house to get a drink. We get a nice piece of world building, their degenerate decor. Page 26. Now, one of the better scenes is that a mysterious woman arrives, and she gives him a new mission. For now, we will call her the Supplier, as she will return at the end of Act 1 to hunt down Lucy for what she does to Goldun at the end of Chapter 1. Here is the Laugh House interaction, because I love the way this scene was put together. "You will not speak," said the stranger, who pulled a small package from her pocket, stitched together with red lace, and placed it upon the table. "The owner must be obedient, and the establishment suitable." Goldun leaned in. The dimensions?" 200 square feet, Faraday feet. No blood halls, no riffraff." She gestured to the package. "Inside you'll find the products, the list of buyers, and a contract. You will return the contract signed." Goldun hushed his voice. "Rinbaya, Fontaine, you will not refer to your employer by name again. Do you understand?" "Yeah." A delay. "This was a tough sell, Wallawa." She pushed the package toward him, and then rose from her headless seat. "Then sell it well, Wallawa." "Well, the owl is outplaying us to such a degree." "Wexel and her puppets cannot be bested on the streets," she answered. We must play a different game, and you will help us play. Goldoon was measured as he peeled back the first layer of the packaging. Can I ask? No. Right. He stopped and felt the rhythmic twitch of his brow, looking to her like a scolded child. Hey, I'll do my best. The stranger's voice, for a moment, seemed softer, kinder. We're doing a good thing, Goldoon. You must believe in us. Believe in our work. An ideologue, thought Lucy, stroking her chin. Interesting. Dangerous. Your final drop is at Fairway, at the next Song Tower chime. It'll be during the town's red phase, so move promptly. And remember, data. Finally, the stranger pulled from her pocket a small clockwork device, flipped open the circular lid, reviewed the mechanisms inside, and snapped it shut. After pocketing the device, the stranger turned, and with a flamboyant swish of her tail, exited the establishment unseen like a passing shadow. I like the supplier, because she returns to throw hands, and it's great. But the author believes the reader is too stupid to put context clues to understand what a song tower and a red phase is. So he proceeds to waste another huge paragraph explaining what it is. That's page 29. I'm not reading it because you have common sense. I'm not going to insult your intelligence. The lowly dealer leaves motivated and dedicated to fulfill his mission to get a contract signed. Subchapter 3. This entire portion is just the author's thinly disguised obsession with anatomical features disguised as a world-building concept called the Kivik Freak Show. Page 30. The counter is rising ever faster. This excessive display of one-handed writing contributes little to nothing for the rest of the plot. It's disgusting, not gonna lie. But on the final page of this subchapter, something extremely important happens. Goldoon takes a vial of this substance and pours it onto a vein of light, and the reaction is immediate. It sparks into these violent electric flames that nearly kills him on the spot. Whatever this chemical is that he's smuggling has some horrendously unwanted side effects, but only those high above know. You wanna know what's hilarious? Lucy Lacemaker, the main character who has been established as a persistent stalker, the one who watched this interaction between Goldoon and the supplier not even a few paragraphs ago, is gone, vanished into thin air. She despawned. At the exact moment, the story reveals one of the most important aspects of the chemical that's being smuggled within the underbirth. How incredibly convenient. It's almost as if Lucy Lacemaker were to be here to witness this reaction. The inciting incident would have never happened because she would have been in the know of how unstable and dangerous this substance is. My god, that's the most annoying plot-relevant disappearance in the entire novel. Lucy spawns back into the map in the rafters of Sally Safton's book burrow, just as Goldoon arrives to try and swindle a deal with her. Book burrows are places of record keeping. They are the backbones of the entire city. Without them, the barter system collapsed. This particular location is very important to Lucy because Sally Safton is the person who took her under her wing. Strange how a random adult when they first met didn't just kill Lucy for trespassing on her territory and stealing her books. But no, Sally is one of the only people who were able to do this highly illegal thing, raising fowlers, and not get caught. It's almost as if there is an invisible hand, wink wink, nudge nudge, that's protecting Lucy and all characters who assist Lucy. Goldoon arrives, and originally Sally was assuming that he's here for Aurelian. Aurelian apparently isn't a shortage. It has no real purpose. Characters complain and whine about it, but it doesn't affect the world as is. It's a meaningless side plot. Goldoon tries to get the ferret Kivawakian to make a deal, and she says no. But she allows him to take a book from the library, which is strange. It's so long as he leaves. So Goldoon takes his time finding a book because he needs to find something of value in order to trade for something else. He's going to go to a chop shop later. Above, not paying attention in the slightest, is Lucy Lacemaker. She found a book named A Study of the Civic Mind by Quinn, the voice of records, the creature you see here. Voices are leaders of departments, while whispers are their second in commands. But this particular voice is blind. You have a blind creature as the voice of records who works in the thumb with all the other high-class Kivawakians. Even though, according to Lockheed's law, he is born wrong and does not deserve to live. Subchapter 5. The only purpose that the subchapter has is to name drop the title and scientifically explain the degeneracy of the society, in addition to hammering down the humiliation aspect. The counter rises. Here are pages 37 and 38 for your enjoyment. Golden finally grabs the book and leaves, but not without asking Sally one more time about the deal. She threatens him and he scampers off. She then calls Lucy from above because of course she knew she was there for the entire time. Her mentor warns Lucy not to get involved with Goldoon. There's nothing good that can come from following a person who's involved with the illegal drug trade. And here is an interaction that I quite enjoy. This thing you're chasing, it doesn't concern you. You always taught me to be curious. Curiosity is partnered with information, not impulse. Sally began to pace, speaking with fluent gesticulations. Even if you don't know where the thread ends, knowing their roots ensures you do not get tangled. You're jumping into something that you do not understand. It will end in calamity. You must think this through. Lucy squeaked. Calamity? Me? How could I cause calamity? Jabbing her chest with her thumb. I'm a fowler. I'm a little soft. Sally placed her palm flat upon the table and leaned in. We all believe that ruination is wrought by ruinous individuals, but what were they before? Little. Like you and me. You believe your emotions won't stir the water? Walla, everybody thinks that. And sure enough, we're drowning in the waves. Never think you're insignificant, Lacemaker. And I say that not as a comfort, but as a warning. It is dangerous thinking. Lucy pouted. So just tell me, Goldoon, those bottles. I need to know why. But you don't. Sally pulled back. I'm sorry, little one, but this isn't your story. You're bigger than this. I don't feel like it. Sally's eyes turned sad, pained by this torn fowler. I have something for you. She pulled a single piece of paper from her drawer and laid it flat upon the table. What's this? Lucy tilted her head to see. The left side held an inky sketch of her face, while the right contained details and a summary of her character. A letter of recommendation. Sally slid the page across. Hand it to any book barrel outside of Viable. Try Mivian. Mivian? Lucy's eyes stung with tears. But I want to work here with you. There's nothing for you here in Viable, little one. Nothing but an obsession with the past that won't ever return. He's moved on. After getting the letter of recommendation, even though it's illegal for her to work as a fowler, Lucy scampers up into the rafters once more, ready to leave. But before she does, she asks her mentor one last question. Page 42. Once the moment passed, Lucy climbed the shelves, paper clasped in her tail, and turned back to Sally, just shy of the window. One more thing. Tester, do it. Sally looked up, tapping her thumb rhythmically against her knuckle. Yes, that bottle. What is it? Sally smiled, and the tapping stopped. It's nothing. Perfume. A rapid blink followed. Voice betrayed words. Lucy divined the truth. Blinking 'cause she's threatened. Tapping stopped 'cause lies need focus. A particular shift in tone. But why would Sally lie to me? And that tipped the scale. Lucy Lacemaker cursed with the eyes to see the truth Flush had decided. As soon as Sally turned her back, Lucy plucked 2 items from the shelves before passing to the window. A sleeping draught and a coil of fine white thread. Let's just ignore how there was a conveniently placed bottle of sleeping syrup at the top of Sally's rafters, there for Lucy to just grab and skedaddle with. Anyways, onward to subchapter 7. We get a lot more world building when it comes to how fowlers are treated. They are born with no rights and are actively hunted by the adults in Locket City. Only the strongest and smartest survive because Locket believes that the only way to keep selection pressures high is to kill the children while they're young, all of the quote-unquote stupid and slow. Lucy, obviously, is extremely cautious. As she's following Goldoon into the shop, she climbs up into the rafters and she sees Cly and Fido hanging by their ankles, headless as fresh meat to be consumed. Goldoon below trades the book for 2 bowls of Browler stew, and once again tries peddling the deal to the owner. The owner says no, but allows him to finish his meal so long as he doesn't mention the deal again. Lucy pours the sleeping syrup into one of the bowls. Somehow, no one, not a soul in this busy chop shop, notices a thick, slow-moving liquid pouring down from above perfectly into this dealer's soup. How fantastically convenient. And then Goldoon eats both of the soups, and not once does he look up to catch Lucy in the act, nor does he question the taste of either of his meals. Nothing. He just finishes, gets up, and heads to a dollhouse. Finally, at a dollhouse, Goldoon secures a deal. He gets Skylar, the owner, to sign the contract. In exchange for saving his business, Skylar allows Goldoon to pick from whoever he wants to enjoy himself with, and Goldoon selects Butika, a former 2-star Yaoshan warrior. During this transaction, the dolly, in her particular position, looks up to see Lucy, stalking above. Lucy Lacemaker, a fowler, a free meal, a child in an adult establishment. And guess what Butika does? Nothing. Butika decides to do absolutely nothing because she's a background character. And remember, background characters are not allowed to have common sense. Oh, and just to throw something in there, here's page 49. You can read that and suffer if you want to get a reference for what Goldoon and Butika look like. Of course, I'm censoring this because I don't want to be demonetized. Finally, we are at the inciting incident, but I'm not going to waste your time by reading this entire dialogue regarding how close friends they were and why Goldoon mattered so much to Lucy because we don't care. Instead, the argument escalates. Lucy starts throwing his prized product. One bottle hits him, soaking his fur. She misses with the second one, and the place goes up into flame. Now here's the portion I actually like about this inciting incident. "You always small, Lacemaker," Goldoon hissed through ruined throat. "Even as a fowler, how large was I to you? Must have been hard, living in the shadow, always looking up. My mind was strained to imagine. You move on, but not up. Who are you to judge me? Who are you?" He motioned to his burns, presenting his work. "Justice? Punishment? What then?" Lucy took a moment. "I just wanted my friend back." "You thought I'd crawl back to you?" There was pity in his voice. "You sad, sad little thing. At least I care. And look where it led." Lucy held up the bottle. "Well, what is this stuff?" "Wasn't my job to know. Even if I survive, they'll kill me. It's over. And to think I thought I'd live forever. It seems silly. But Locket's time will come. They'll make sure of it." "I didn't want any of this." "Liar! You followed and searched for an exploit, and as soon as you did, you struck me. You wanted this. To bring me low. Admit it." He gazed into her silver eye. "A lifetime of looking up. How does it finally feel to look down?" Lucy said nothing. "Oh, and don't you worry, Lacemaker. They'll come for you now. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and I hope they bleed you nice and slow." She was quick to anger. "You're a tool. You don't even know what it's for, even now." "At least I was building something. You, Lacemaker, you burn." Lucy turned to hide her tears. "Was any of it real? Our friendship." "Friendship?" Goldoon said as a foul word, twisting his ruined face. "Now, then I'm glad you burned." "Don't lie," she told herself. "Don't you lie." The face of a scorched animal creased in anger, and with the body powered by the last of his rage, Goldoon leapt from the floor and tackled Lacemaker with such a force she couldn't even squeal. Her last attempt to cling to safety left 5 small scratches carved into the wood, and together they plummeted. Lucy obviously survives the fall despite it being hundreds of feet in the air, and she falls into a river full of dowsers, the aquatic Kivawakians. Because she's the main character, she is able to swim to safety without much of a problem. It's barely an inconvenience. Her letter of recommendation was burned in the dollhouse, but that doesn't stop her from getting a job in the future. Chapter 1, with the inciting incident, concludes with Lucy fleeing the scene in hopes of discovering the truth of Meyer. This is the name of the chemical that Goldun was fighting so hard to smuggle. They believe that Meyer will bring about the end of Lockett's reign in the Underbirth, and honestly, I hope it does. If you liked my autistic analysis of Fennah's Amygdala, like and subscribe, share my content. Until next time. Greetings, humans and humanoids. I am Cubanoid, the personification of someone's hyperfixations, and today we return to Fennah's Amygdala, Chapter 2. Because I'm a mighty geometric creature that cannot be shamed and will never be shamed. If you like the video, like the video. If you want to see more content, then subscribe, ring the bell, so you'll be the first one to see my content. I forgot this one from Chapter 1, gonna post it there, call it a day. Moving on. Chapter 2 begins with a new character. His name is Dalton. He is an 8-striped Yaoshan warrior that's equivalent to a captain in their world. These stripes are golden because they resemble Winifred's original, design. She's by default a golden striped whisperer, and her military reflects those stripes. I'm assuming they're like tattoos of sorts, and you get them removed because Boutika was a 2-star back in Chapter 1, and in her current photo, even if it is weird, she has no stripes. The Yalish are the Underbirth's military and law enforcement. Of course, the author takes his sweet time vomiting exposition regarding what Song Towers are, and then follows up with 2 more pages to describe what Dalton looks like, for a total of 4 pages before Dalton does anything. Next, we get Bartholomew. He's a warrior of 6 stripes. He informs his superior that they have found a 3rd character, Celia. Dalton takes note and follows the trail to find her, while Bartholomew, we will call him Barthy, goes back to his post. We get some lore over the names of each of the rings. I will show them on screen. Only one of them really matters, and it's the Jest ring, because that's where all the Yaoshan warriors train. We also get a brief explanation of what the Yalish actually do. To put it simply, they uphold the law, but the way this is worded makes it sound borderline eugenic. I might as well read it. Quote, "It was standard procedure to have no less than 4 Yaoshan agents to each street in the Hemmerlo. Combat was lawful, rivalry encouraged, killing was acceptable. If justified, an ineptitude was reason enough, but the Yalish kept things orderly. They did not protect nor serve the weak. They were the keepers of law, and the law was a factual design. Lockett had nurtured a strong breed, and born of fire they all were. Mistakes could be forgiven, but tolerance for stupidity was exceedingly low." Why am I second guessing myself? This is eugenic. Sub-chapter 2, we get another detailed description of Celia. I'm going to put it on the screen and summon the mighty counter so you can suffer with me. Celia is seen trying to negotiate a meal and a place to stay, but she has voices in her head that make her paranoid that anyone and everyone is out to kill her. As she's a black hole, that's basically a mercenary in this world, she isn't affiliated with a business, therefore her goods and services alone aren't enough to trade at the door. Doesn't make sense, but we're gonna move on. This argument escalates until she decapitates the chop shop owner, and the bookkeeper gives in, scared for his life. We're bringing back the counter because this is how the author describes character death. Every character death, without fail. After the altercation, Celia gets 5 days of free food and lodging. In the nick of time, Dalton arrives to meet Celia, and I do like their interaction. This shows that Fennah has the ability to show that characters are friends, are platonic, right? Why didn't he do this with Lucy and Goldun? They are the first 2 characters we are introduced to in the novel, and I don't care for them. In fact, I care a little more for Dalton and Celia and their struggle throughout this novel than Lucy Lacemaker and her trio of to-be-introduced friends. Although Celia doesn't really apologize, she does help the chopper put his head back on after the altercation. Dalton believes she shouldn't have apologized, and the voices in her head are constantly telling her that she disappointed Dalton. But that's not the real meat and potatoes. Dalton needs someone who can keep a low profile to investigate Polly's toy shop in order to catch some evidence that they are a part of the Meyer drug operation. The really in shortage, even though it's more of a useless, maybe perhaps a red herring of a side plot, apparently the voice of the Hammerlow, a creature named Methuselah, has passed a few laws that have increased the taxes on everyone, and they're suffering from it. So it makes sense as to why so many of these creatures are looking towards side hustles to keep their businesses open. Let's ignore how incompetent having taxes on a barter system objectively is. Dalton makes his investigation sound like a simple job, and that is the only reason Celia agrees to join him. Celia is manipulated into investigating Polly's tab. They call it Polly's tab in the book, but for now we're going to call it Polly's toy shop. She's at the center of it all because as a black hole, she doesn't have to follow some of the rules that the Yowlish have to follow, and she can get into places that the Yowlish, if they were to come into, that people would be on, their best behavior. Now, on page 77, I do like the small chit-chat that Dalton and Celia have, because one, this shows that they have a positively connected past. These alien creatures, these Kivawakians, have the ability to care, understand, and maybe even love, even though their society is basically eugenics in a nutshell. The author does something amazing. He shows us an aspect of his alien world, how gravity is so much different than a regular human world. Quote, Dalton glanced at Celia's body as she placed a foot upon a vertical street before her. The 90-degree angle did not stop her from prowling upward, nor did it break the pattern of her stride. Her black coat and dreadlocks became attracted to the new floor below until Celia was horizontal, and the street behind, along with Dalton, were vertical. Straight, simple, to the point, it gave us a visual of what is happening. Celia and Dalton are walking up a vertical street. Now, dear watcher, dear fellow book enjoyer, what do you think Fennah does in the paragraph following this? He breaks the fourth wall for a second time to explain to us the concept of Kivawakian gravity called gravimassa, and he has the audacity to start the paragraph with, quote, in order to come to terms with how this happens, we are obligated to explore gravimassa, the Kivawakian equivalent to gravity. I'm just going to show you the entire page. That way you can see the paragraph where he shows us the world, and then the 1, 2, 3 paragraphs of just straight exposition, and then finally we get back to the story. You have no idea how much that pissed me off. I've never felt so insulted by an author. Moving on, they split off. Celia decides to swim to the destination by going under a tunnel full of broken puppets from Polly's toy shop. We get a scene where the voices in her head make her thrash and scream and fight at the hanging trash, but she snaps out of it and focuses on getting the mission done. She has a deep, unsettling fear of puppets, but as of Act 1, it doesn't show up again, nor does it have an impact on her character. Celia arrives and meets Thalius, a bug Kivawakian, who wants Polly's toy shop because he is the one who designed it, the one who built it. They've been working together for a while now, but he has surpassed Polly in skill, and he suspects something is going on behind the scenes. That's why he called Dalton to assist. It's strange that in this hyper self-sufficient society, where he has every legal right to just kill Polly, uncover the truth for himself, decides to do nothing. Thales remains a bystander, a quest giver essentially. Most characters in this book can't think for themselves. That's reserved for the main cast. Ignorance aside, I truly enjoy this character's design. It is truly alien. It's unique. Thales doesn't even have a sense of smell, nor nose. So in order to confirm that Celia was sent by Dalton, he licks her chest and is able to taste that Dalton has been near her. That's a nice touch of character, even if it is kind of weird. The Bugman tells her that Polly is in the lower section of the toy shop, and Celia disappears below. Here, she finds Polly playing and repairing a massive instrument built into the very chamber itself. The black hole lies and manipulates Polly into leaving the instrument unattended. Then she discovers that there are over 100 bottles of Meyer stored inside this instrument. Polly returns absolutely livid. Now, dear watchers, fight scenes in this book are so incredibly detailed and casually erotic that they are exhaustive to get through. Everything moves in slow motion with filth spraying from gowers and twitching bodies. The book makes sure that the reader understands that Celia thrives on pain, and that's why she's never ever lost a fight. The real explanation as to why she's undefeated will be revealed later, sometime at the end of Act 1. Celia wins, obviously, and we're gonna bring that counter back up. I know I need to announce it more often and more frequently, because while I'm narrating, I just have them pop up. It's just very, very annoying. It happens so often. After the fight, Thales returns thanking Celia for her help in taking back the chop shop and then uncovering the truth that Polly was in fact involved in the Meyer trade. Celia takes just one bottle of Meyer. Thales tells her that Dalton knew the entire time that there was a Meyer operation, and Celia was there to do the dirty work for him. Her paranoia flares regarding if Dalton is truly her friend or if he's using her, but that scene doesn't really matter. She just returns to him with the bottle of Meyer. Dalton downplays the severity of Meyer being confirmed in such a large quantity at what is now Thales' toy shop. Celia is then detained, yet he continues to keep her in the dark regarding anything involving Meyer. She absolutely hates this. She wants answers. She never wanted to be a part of this grand investigation in the first place. Dalton gaslit her into thinking it was little to nothing. But she is too mentally unstable to see the big picture. Celia is a mentally ill loner in a society that abandons her. Sorry, I had to. It also doesn't help that she's the only black-coded character in this book, complete with a Bronx accent and dreadlocks. If you don't believe me, here's an animation clip that proves me right.
You're just a failure who gave up. The moral high ground is all you've got left. So you fight tooth and claw for it. But you ain't fooling me.
Then Dalton, because he has the literal authority, puts her in her place and orders Bartholomew to escort her to a bathhouse, as she did just return fresh from a crime scene. Remember, they are in the Hammerlow, specifically the Ring of Sek, and they're going to the Jast Ring. Unfortunately, Barthy Boy's one and only purpose through this entire act is to babysit Celia. Together, Barthy Boy and Celia go to a bathhouse, and the author breaks a smooth scene by shoehorning a paragraph to explain that maidens are not restricted to being just female. Barthy Boy questions the nature of Celia's bond with his superior, and she just says that they were good friends, but the truth is revealed later. She bathes and Barthy Boy observes. The author had the mercy to cut out that scene. Chapter 2 concludes with some more lore regarding aquatic Kivawakians, so we gotta bring back that counter. Throw it up. Next, the author uses 3 full pages to break the fourth wall for a third time to explain the concept of Mendosian doors. Essentially, they are wormholes that allow creatures to travel between the 3 main districts of the Underearth: the Casino, the Hammerlow, and the Thume. Bartholomew escorts Celia to the next ring, Jast. That's literally it. That concludes Chapter 2. In summary, Dalton sends a mentally ill loner Celia to investigate Polly's toy shop. They find that there's a massive operation of Meyer, or a massive storage specifically, because she had over 100 bottles of Meyer. Celia kills Polly. The operation is busted. Dalton detains Celia and then has Celia get cleaned up from the fresh crime scene, and Bartholomew becomes the ultimate babysitter. Now, for the sake of simplicity, because there's so many characters that will come out throughout this novel, Bartholomew, Celia, and Dalton will be referred to as the investigators if they're all in the same scene. Alright, humans and humanoids, if you liked my overly autistic analyzing of this book, like the video, subscribe, share the video, comment. I want to hear what you think. Greetings, humans and humanoids. I am Cubanoid, the personification of someone's hyperfixations, and today we return to Fennah's Amygdala, Chapter 3. Because I seek to overthrow the grand voice to become the grand scream, I will be forever grateful if you were to like and subscribe, perhaps even ring the bell so you never miss my content. Chapter 3 begins with a law from the Grand Architect, Sombra. It doesn't matter what you got as long as all deals and contracts are in writing. And dear watchers, dear book enjoyers, we are back to Lucy Lacemaker's POV. The author kicks down the fourth wall like the Kool-Aid Man to explain the other methods of rotulation. Lucy is still fresh from a crime scene running for her life when a lanky Kiwawakian knocks her out and takes the bottle. The world is dark until she smells the terrifying scent of a chop shop. Someone has taken her to become a meal. Isn't it convenient that the kidnapper didn't decapitate Lucy to ensure that she wouldn't escape? That's like if a human were to go deer hunting and instead of shooting the deer, you just punched it in the face, tossed it in the back of your pickup truck, and then drove back to camp hoping it wouldn't wake up and escape. Plot armor alert! Plot armor alert! We soon find out that the kidnapper's name is Ludwig, and he's just a lovely character. Not the best written, but he is a caring dreamer who unfortunately made the mistake of meeting Lucy. While she feigns being unconscious, she overhears that Ruthergush Ink House and Marvel's Chop Shop are no longer doing business because Marvel has found a better ink house with higher quality writers to trade with. Ludwig presents his half of the deal, the fowls he's hunted, and does his best to keep Marvel from ending the contract with Ruthergush. The editor, Wiley, has a bad reputation, but that's only because he secretly hires Fowlers, and that's why the quality of his papers and stories aren't as high as other ink houses. Ludwig can't afford to lose this job. He will not let this business die, so he continues the negotiation. But guess who destroys any chance he had of preserving that contract? It's our mighty main character, Lucy Lacemaker. She scares Marvel into thinking she works for the mysterious Fontaine, the head of the drug cartels and the underground mafia. She spins a lie that Fontaine uses Fowlers to push Meyer because no one expects the weak, scampering creatures to be a part of his massive operation. So, if she dies, then the Kiwawakian mobsters will come to kill him. Marvel, understandably, panics and assumes that Ludwig is in on it because he too is a Fowler, just a very tall one. Marvel tries to kill Ludwig and Lucy. The kids fight. Lucy ends up blinding Marvel with sparks, and just as he leaps for Ludwig, Ludwig kicks out and Marvel lands into his own meat grinder. Grab that counter, it wasn't going to be long before we had to summon it anyways. Another death, another one bites the dust. After that ordeal, Ludwig feels horrible that he just killed someone, but Lucy is happy and as giddy as she can be because she's a sociopath! Woohoo! Ludwig can't afford for anyone to know the truth regarding Marvel's death, but the only witness he has is Lucy. Now, dear watchers, dear book enjoyers, if you are a fugitive looking for friends, what would you do? I'm not giving you a choice. Here's what Lucy does. She takes advantage of him without a second thought. Lucy tasks Ludwig with building a positive Pavlovian response within Wiley. We're going to ignore that the Yaoshin warriors wouldn't even let her live if she did expose Ludwig for quote-unquote killing Marvel. So, for 20 chimed days, she stalks him at his workplace to make sure he's doing exactly what is ordered to build this positive psychological connection with the editor. My question is, why didn't she just ask him to get a job? He is a Fowler who is working for an editor, an ink house. That should raise some suspicion, but it also proves that you have an opportunity to live, to exist without being hunted. On one hand, she did nearly get them killed, and there was a high chance that he would just say no. But why not keep this blackmail plan as a backup in the case he did say no? That way, she gave him a choice before forcing her hand anyways. I apologize, dear watcher. It just makes too much sense. Subchapter 2. Ludwig goes back to work. We meet another character named Shale, who is the top performer at the Ruthergers Ink House. Ludwig reports to Wiley, saying that Marvel fell into his own meat grinder. His boss laughs hysterically and tells him to get busy. Surprised that it was that easy to lie to him, Ludwig goes to Shale and asks for the perfume needed in order to start this Pavlovian response. In addition, he does kind of smell like the crime scene. Shale gives him the perfume, he soaks the rag in it, and the 20 days of manipulation begins. Subchapter 3. Meanwhile, Lucy stalks Wiley and gathers information. He's characterized as someone who creates his own words and meanings, and that makes reading his dialogue fun. Too bad the author forgets about that when we meet him later. The scrappy Fowler meets a zebra dolly, Wiley's favorite, and of course he doesn't just kill and eat her. In fact, he takes her advice on wearing a black and yellow cloak, the same color as the cloth. So when Wiley goes to meet him at the brothel again, the editor will associate black and yellow with positivity. Finally, the plot actually starts to move in subchapter 4. After the 20 days are up, Ludwig is sick and tired of Lucy and this stupid deal. He tosses her the stinking cloth and says he never wants to see her again. He has work to do and he loathes seeing her scruffy face in the rafters. Ludwig was completely understandable. I would and still deeply dislike Lucy. The deal is done though. So, Ludwig leaves, but literally a short paragraph later, Lucy scampers into Wiley's office. That's clever, almost humorous. Perhaps the author knows his horrible habit of overwriting and subverted my expectation, because then Wiley, having been conditioned to like Lucy, gives her a job, and a few seconds afterwards, Ludwig walks in with paperwork, and one of those just happened to be an inker's contract. Subchapter 5 is literally just the inker's contract. It's overwritten, but I've simplified it to the following. 1. Seek truth. 2. Act independently. 3. Minimize commotion. 4. Be accountable and transparent. And finally 5. Act in the ultimate interest of truth. You'll notice that the previous chapter summaries are very, very short. It's because they're not short in a sense. It's just that nothing happens. So it was easy to summarize. But in subchapter 6, Wiley thinks that Ludwig leaked information about him and fires him on the spot. Lucy saves Ludwig, as she did technically gather all the research for herself, and both keep their jobs. But as she's new, she has to share a workspace with Ludwig. And of course, once they're alone in the privacy of Ludwig's little mini office, she explains how she got Wiley to like her. She explains what a Pavlovian response is. And the way the author wrote this scene leans so heavily into making Lucy look super intelligent. By the way, Ludwig is awestruck and amazed. Yet in this workspace, Lucy notices that Ludwig wrote an article about the dollhouse she just burned down not even a month ago. Guess what? No reaction. Light work. No reaction. No internal thoughts. No internal conflict. Absolutely nothing. Lucy regrets nothing about committing a triple homicide. Subchapter 7 is literally just the article. It's overwritten and meaningless. If you want to read it, I'm put it on screen, but it doesn't really matter. Well, one small thing matters, and it's somewhere at the end. Now, subchapter 8 is the only interesting subchapter of chapter 3. Come closer, listen in, readers and book enjoyers. The Inkers talk about Methuselah's tax hike and the Aurelian shortage, a few other powerful creatures in the thumb, but it's nothing but exposition. A black phase, the closest thing they have to night, is coming, so they get comfy and prepare to sleep. But Lucy brings up Marva's murder and asks Ludwig how does it feel to kill someone. And we get this interesting exchange. I'm the surviving sort. Ludwig had his eyes closed, ready for sleep. I'm the living sort. She glanced at him. When Marvel died, I thought we agreed not to talk about that. After this, never again. What's it like? I was terrified. You can't just kill anyone you please, Lacemaker. If you slay a prominent figure, you make an enemy of all those who depend upon their skill. We got lucky with Marvel. We won't get lucky again. I know. Ludwig's voice was becoming slower as sleep stole over him. Try and rest now. Lucy yawned and then voiced a final thought. I think you can kill anybody. You just have to make him redundant first. At that, Ludwig briefly opened his eyes, and after hearing the first of Lucy's piggish snores, allowed himself to follow softly after. Yellow and black filled their dreams. Ludwig has every right to be wary of Lucy, because they are both Inkers. She's a threat to him and his job, and just admitted it. We understand that in the Underbirth, you have the right to kill someone if you're better at them at their job, but that's objectively counterproductive. Some would say incompetent. Why not have more than one skilled person doing a job? If Fennah was true to his world, then Lucy should be dead. As Ludwig is the best illustrator of Ruthergush, and Shale is the best writer in Ruthergush. But oh well, perhaps if they taxed the plot armor, that would fix the Underbirth and their tax situation. That concludes chapter 3. Little to nothing happens outside of Lucy getting a job, manipulating Ludwig to get said job, some lore and other things about their society, but it doesn't really matter. Similar to what I did for chapter 2, Shale, Ludwig, and Lucy will be referred to as the journalists. Now, if you like my content of autistically analyzing this book, please like and subscribe. I'm suffering for your sake. Until next time. Greetings, humans and humanoids. I am Cupidud, the personification of someone's hyperfixations, and today we're getting back into Sam Fennah's Amygdala, Chapter 4. I have no joke to transition you into why you should like the video and subscribe and maybe leave a comment to see how you feel. So we're getting right into it without wasting time. We move on from the Hammerlowian rings into the Thune. This chapter begins with the law saying, government agents are not protected and can be replaced at any time if they're deemed incompetent. That law is from none other than the mighty Locket herself. In Dear Watchers, we are introduced to the descendants in order, starting with Sombra, then the mighty Locket herself, and the fiery twin Winifred. Sombra is the oldest of the siblings in this dictatorial society, and he is upset with a creature named Nathaniel, who is the paradigm judge, about the tax hike he passed from Methuselah. Nathaniel said he had no choice because Hammerlow is struggling, as only one of their rings is dedicated to the trade, while all of Casino, the entirety of Casino, is bustling with it. Huge plot hole. If Sombra, Winifred, and Locket, which you will find out, can bypass the very laws that they write, why didn't Sombra do the same? The way he is written tells us that he is a walking, living, breathing archive of all Kivawakian knowledge, so why didn't he at least come up with a better solution to Methuselah's tax hike, her plan overall, or at the very least make it null and void with a more competent plan on how to smooth out the transactions within the Underbirth? You can't write a character that's this intelligent, this quote-unquote competent, and then give him a blind spot that makes him look utterly stupid. Moving on, Sombra grumbles and mumbles and leaves, warning Nathaniel to fix this problem now, and to prepare for court to address it. Subchapter 2. Alone, Nathaniel gathers what he needs for the court session, and a dragon-like creature comes up to him. This dragon's name is Fennah. The paradigm judge vents to him. As they walk to the courtroom, they talk about nothing of real importance, but Nathaniel does want to speak to Fennah after the court concludes. Nathaniel slithers, and the author once again breaks the fourth wall, for a fifth time I believe, to explain what the Thuum is and the most important locations characters will visit later. They are the following: the Astro Watchmaker. This is the central timekeeper, the central song tower, where all other song towers synchronized. The Paradigm Court. This is the major court, something similar to the Supreme Court, where all of the high-class Kibwakins pass laws that affect all the middle and lower-class creatures. Lullaby Loft. It's a high-class dollhouse. The Halo Chamber. This is the greatest, highest quality bathhouse, and how they describe it makes it sound truly magnificent. The Platform. This is the only Mendosian door, the only entrance and exit to the Thuum. Then we have the Witchian Library. This is Sombra's domain, his grand library. And then Whitefall, Winifred's domain, her warrior institution, where all of the young Yowlish train to become a warrior. The chapter ends with Nathaniel finally meeting the one, the only, Locket, the Lady of Blackenren. Subchapter 3. Readers, book enjoyers, we get one of the most grandiose descriptions I've ever read in my entire life. You can easily tell that Locket is one of Fennah's favorite characters, only next to Lucy. Lucy being in first place, Locket being in second place, and perhaps Yeshua or Harlow, who you will be introduced to later, is in third or fourth place. The author spends 3 full pages describing her, and we get this little gem. I'm gonna highlight it on screen, where he says, and I quote, "A character in a book." And of course, it can't be that long before I have to summon the mighty counter. Here you go, page 160. Locket has abs and 4 mammary glands. Again, we get more useless dialogue, but I've compartmentalized it to the following. Locket suspects Methuselah's planning something, and Nathaniel is her pawn. She whispers this to Sombra as Nathaniel leads the way to go find the last of their siblings, Winifred. It's as if Locket is so incredibly intelligent and powerful and competent beyond our mere mortal minds and my rectangular one, that she can read into the plot of this book, as if she can make time obey. I want you to remember that phrasing for later. Locket, Sombra, and Nathaniel go to Sether's lecture hall to collect the last of the descendants, Winifred the Grand Whisperer. Subchapter 4. Winifred is introduced like an angry, violent, murderous tsundere. She's blasting a Kivik for making a small mistake, but the almighty, all-perfect, genetically superior Locket comes in just in time to save him from Winifred's mighty wrath. And of course, we're gonna bring that mighty counter out, page 163, a description of Winifred's body. You'll notice that no male character gets a description like this. They'd be lucky to even get a description, if that. So now, with all 3 plus 1, Locket decides to share her grand idea, to create a voice of trade. Locket, the creator of the Underbirth's laws and governing bodies, the one who scorched a city, killing millions, no doubt, and destroyed the previous money system to uphold a barter system. A quote-unquote fair trade system does not have a voice of trade. In addition, the whole tax plot, again, makes no sense. It's truly incompetent. We're gonna move on past that. Lockett never had a voice of trade, someone to smooth out these transactions between the Hammerlow ring, the Thum ring, and the casino ring, which objectively makes her stupid. More or less of a plot hole, because you still wonder, the way the author writes these characters, they're super intelligent and super strong and super perfect. It doesn't make sense as to why they don't have this already. Again, oddly convenient, but we're moving on. The 3 dictators of the society have been updated on the drug bust at Polly's place. They get all the information, including the identity of the Black Hole, Celia. But technically, it isn't a full report, as no one knows the purposes of Meyer, and in this world, every piece of information must be explained in order to be considered a full report. This is just something that the author sort of lingered on after the briefing regarding what Polly's place had. They mentioned Judge Barnaby. He was the previous paradigm judge that failed and was 100% killed, but based on the timeline, he was alive during the Trade Revolution. So there's no doubt that he, wherever he is or wherever he did, was able to help Fontaine during the time to get the ball rolling in order to start the drug deals in this current regime. That's one of my theories, because he lingers on Judge Barnaby. Sombra is just as annoyed as I am with this half-baked side plot regarding the Aurelian shortage, so he sends word out to the mines in the Glaze. The Glaze is the endless forest on the outside of the Kivawag. Everyone suddenly begins to start arguing about how much they dislike Methuselah and Yeshua, as they never see eye to eye. Methuselah being the voice of the Hammerlow and Yeshua being the voice of the casino. Once we get further into this chapter, you'll see the wasted potential that was Yeshua. It's extremely upsetting, because you could see there was potential, but the author ruins him by trying too hard to make him cool and suave and sexy. It defeats the purpose of being a person who plays both sides. But the details of this two-handed, two-faced deal will come later on in the chapter. The fifth tongue grows near, and all of them head to the Paradigm Court for a session. Subchapter 5 is just a long description of the court, pages upon pages. Lockett yaps about society and objectivism. The court cheers her every word because she is a cult leader in a world full of her loyal zealots. Subchapter 6. Yep, bring that counter back as we get a description of the mighty antagonist, Methuselah. Methuselah walks into the courtroom, justifies her tax hike, and of course, the almighty Lockett steps into the debate. The author treats the grand voice just speaking like a cliffhanger, as if whatever she's about to say in the next subchapter is going to be groundbreaking. It's not. Subchapter 7. We cut from that very vital thing Lockett was about to say to introduce the suave and savvy Yeshua. You see that sexy furry man on screen, that foxy fella? That right there is the voice of the casino. And guess what? You want to know why he's one of the high-class Kivawakians? Yeshua is the inventor of the concept of dollhouses, the pioneer of adult entertainment, the head doll, and he is the only other American coded character, with Celia being the other one. Whenever I voice him, I will use some sort of southern accent because that's how I read him. The way he talks is the way a British person would think a stereotypical American would speak. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny how cringy he gets with writing this American coded character. I'm gonna read it out because there is one scene that I do want to read out that's gonna come later in this overarching chapter. So Yeshua saunters in and counters Methuselah's point regarding the tax hike in general, but it's nothing but back and forth bloated debating. Yeshua's statement doesn't even make sense. It's basic math. Big casino district makes more traits and services than small singular Hammerlowian ring. Simple. It's not girl math. Or in this term, it would be like Kiwaki math. Honestly, it's common sense. If you would have argued for the quality of services, maybe, but that's as close as you're gonna get to a valid argument. Subchapter 8. We once again cut from the very important thing the mighty Locke was about to say to introduce Winifred's prized student, Wexel, the voice of the Yowlish. And you know the drill. Throw it up. That's page 181. Wexel presents a bottle of Meyer to the courtroom. This second in command to the one and only Winifred, this undefeated, highly intelligent creature, nor anyone else in this entire courtroom has figured out that Meyer is highly unstable when near growing light. How do they not know this? We've been told Lucy's triple homicide scene has been investigated. There was no chemical residue, there was no smell consistency, there was no change or difference within the flames or the color or the way it was combusted, because this is a chemical fire, mind you, not a regular fire. And no one has done any research, no testing, no archive of what this may be comprised of, the chemicals themselves, absolutely nothing. Some might call that plot convenient, some might call that incompetent. The author is purposely keeping both the characters and readers in the dark in an attempt to create mystery, but refuses to foreshadow anything. It would have been better if we, the readers, knew what Meyer was in general, like from the very beginning, and then watch the characters struggle to understand what this thing is. That is what's compelling. The way Meyer is written makes it feel like filler. Words on a page to pad out the book's runtime, just so he can boast about writing a 1,000-page magnum opus. In addition, it makes it super hard for us to care or even understand why Fontaine and his mafia are fighting so hard to spread this drug in a society where being at the wrong place at the wrong time, or believing the wrong thing, or saying the wrong thing can get you killed and put into a chop shop, or contorted on the side of a street, or made into a chair. Moving on. Methuselah had no idea that there was an investigation in her domain, the Hammerlow, in the first place. Therefore, that investigation is illegal, but the tsundere Winifred puts the giraffe politician in her place with a snort and a huff. It's always a battle over who has the most gower hair and the biggest mammary glands over a true debate about the laws they all agree to follow. Again, the descendants are above the law and no one questions it, because if you question it, then you're stupid, and if you're stupid, you deserve to die. Then the entire court treats Methuselah horribly because she's right. And finally, dear watchers, dear book enjoyers, Lockett flexes her superiority complex, and she requests to speak again. This time Nathaniel has no choice but to let her. Subchapter 9. Lockett presents her grand idea to create a new position, the voice of trade. Almost everyone is in agreement besides Methuselah, because she finds the notion insulting. It directly undermines her authority over the Hammerlow. It adds a middleman, and from my understanding and how they treated her in the courtroom for this short amount of time, I see why she's livid. I'm just surprised that Yeshua didn't feel the same way. We didn't get to hear his inner thoughts, his feelings. We didn't get any sort of interaction outside of him just being somewhere in the background, unmentioned off screen. Because he too will be affected if this is to be passed. Then, of course, because Lockett isn't the only Mary Sue in this book, the entire court praises her like an infallible, objective god. It's almost like these creatures in this world, these Kiwakians, are conditioned from birth to love her without question. As if, Her word, Lockett's law, is law. Subchapter 10. High above, like a great crimson spider, is a creature named Fiona. She is a beautifully designed Kivawakian, although simple. As you can see, her dark red skin, her 8 limbs, the eyeballs in the back of these limbs. I like this design. That's up there with Thalius's design. But her whole job is to transcribe everything that's being said below, like a great arachnid. She is one of the only female characters that has a design that's not overly sexualized. It just sucks that we never see this character again as of Act 1. Anyways, Fiona speaks to Somber briefly, but passes the information to be cleaned up and organized in the Witchian library where Quinn, the voice of records, can help. Subchapter 11. After the court concludes and everyone is done belittling Methuselah even though she was right, Methuselah musters up the courage to confront Wexel directly on the illegal investigation. Wexel says that there will be a full report, but only when the mighty Fontaine is dead. Methuselah asks a different question regarding the operation itself. Are only the Yowlish involved? Wexel, of course, lies to the Himalayan voice, and she's not stupid. She knows that Wexel lies, but she's not going to push for it because Wexel is Winifred's right-hand woman. Methuselah leaves, leaving Wexel to her own body. Winifred walks in, and here she tells Winifred everything, including the black hole that's involved, Celia. And that concludes Chapter 4 of Amygdala. As you can see, not much happens. This summary was less than 20 minutes long, but from my notes in Chapter 5, a lot happens. Even though it is a little bloated, a lot of important information is there, and I cannot wait to share that with you. In summary, Chapter 4, Nathaniel, the current paradigm judge, angers the objective gods Somber, Winifred, and Lockett by passing Methuselah's tax hike. Methuselah is objectively in the right for passing this tax hike because the Hammerlow ring for trade is not making enough trades or services. Therefore, she's taxing the casino to kind of even that shortage out. The entire court treats Methuselah like trash. Lockett proposes a voice of trade, even though they live in a society based on trades and services. Yeshua is overly explained and described being sexy and suave. The entire court is full of zealots that worship Lockett. Everyone agrees except for Methuselah, because the investigation in the Hammerlow, Polly's place, was illegal. The court concludes, and because there is no unanimous decision, the voice of trade cannot be created. After the court does conclude, Methuselah confronts Wexel regarding the investigation. Wexel lies and tells Winifred the truth, and that's it. I'm not gonna lie, Chapter 4 was extremely boring, but Chapter 5 is where things get exciting. I'm not kidding you. Going through my notes, Yeshua, even though he's a cringy character, he does have a lot of strings to pull, even though he himself was pulled upon a string. So, dear watchers, dear book enjoyers, if you enjoy my content of artistically analyzing books, consider liking, subscribing, sharing the video, leaving a comment down below. Because Chapter 5 is where a lot of things happen, and I actually enjoyed this section. A vast majority is action-packed, or investigative actually. Until next time. And now for the chapter you've all been waiting for, Chapter 5 of Sam Fennah's Amygdala. Like in the previous video, I did promise you that there's some good meat and potatoes in this chapter. So without further ado, let's dive in. But before we do, consider liking and subscribing. Chapter 5 opens with a law from Yeshua saying that dollies are confidential, so anything told to them must remain unspoken. Dollies are not allowed to fall in love with their clients, but they do have the right to defend themselves if clients become violent in their pursuit of fulfilling their desires. If this law is violated, then the responsible parties will be killed and contracts will be nullified. The king of Dollies is preparing a festival that is the equivalent of one massive New Year's Eve party. It is the biggest in the entire Underbirth. Still, the notion is on pause because Methuselah refused to sign Locke's proposal, so the Grand Voice goes directly to him to see if he will sign. Yeshua, of course, says yes, because what idiot would say no and have the most powerful and influential godlike creature breathing down your neck? As they talk, Locke agrees to come to the New Year's festival. Let's pull that counter out because, of course, a courtroom would have statues like this. Disgusting. Anyways, when they leave the court, there are hundreds of hungry Inkers starving for information regarding the new proposal. But most of their questions were answered in the previous chapter, so it's just another waste of time and pages. Yet, there is one Inca that stands out, and the author makes sure she stands out because guess what? Some on the counter once again. We have Helgen, the thick snake-like Kivawakian. Now, apparently Helgen is important because she's friends with both Yeshua and Methuselah. Her connection with the sexy, foxy fellow is like that of an ex. Maybe they were former friends with benefits. We're not really sure. It's not answered in Act 1 either. And of course, her connection with Methuselah is never explained, again, as of Act 1. It's obvious based on how the character gets such a long description that Helgen will be presented or made into the voice of trade by someone in the Thuum, either Sombra, Lockett, or Winifred. Despite this bloated subchapter, there are two extremely vital pieces of information. On the outside, to the public and to those within the Thuum, Yeshua and Methuselah act as if they absolutely hate each other. But behind the scenes, they're both working together with a creature named Gatsby. Now, the author initially believed that readers are too stupid to figure out that Gatsby is Fontaine, but thankfully he doesn't break the fourth wall for a sixth time. He just right out states it in some dialogue I'm going to be reading later. Helgen pulls Yeshua away into a corridor away from the Inkers, and they talk privately. Now, humans and humanoids, watchers and book enjoyers, this is a piece of information that got me interested in the conflict again. She dusted down his shoulder with the back of her hand like a scolding mother. Honestly, don't make a scene, Helgen, said Yeshua, pulling away. All right, you're just a little scruffy. They like me scruffy. Helgen led him to a quiet corridor away from the Inker eyes. She stopped before him, hands upon her large hips. Walla wah, I think a congratulations are in order. Yeshua looked up at her and smiled. Thanks, darling. I meant me. The giant crossed her burly arms. If it wasn't for me, you and Methuselah would have killed each other by now. And then, where would we be? Alright, I get it. Will you sign? Yeshua threw up all four of his arms. Don't matter what I do. Nathaniel won't push through Locke's proposal without a unanimous vote. Helgen snaked up behind and curled her large hand around his shoulders. I'll talk to Methuselah. He broke her grip. You ain't her whisperer, Helgen. There ain't nothing you can do. I'll talk to Oliver then. No. Don't involve any other voices. And you keep well away from that Roger Penny, you hear? I didn't mean to stress. You're failing. Helgen wore a kind face, but the sourness was eating through. I'll talk to Methuselah, but you need to talk to Gatsby. If Methuselah don't sign, there ain't nothing to talk about. With respect, it's not your operation to stall. Methuselah cut you in. She can cut you out. Yeshua jabbed a finger to his chest. I'm the one with the infrastructure. Without me, she's finished. Before Helgen could respond, Winifred's voice came down upon them like a sudden wash of fire, echoing through the lonely halls. Cassidian voice, she roared. Helgen bent low and whispered in Yeshua's ear, We'll meet at Lullaby. I'll have something for you then. Wait for my word, he said. Go. Winifred watched the large whisperer disappear and began to Yeshua. Lockett's proposal. You won't stand in the way? I'll hold the bloody door open, said Yeshua. The Grand Whisperer pinned her golden eyes to the back of Helgen. She works for Oliver Ghost, if I'm not mistaken. No, you're correct. She's been helping me Methuselah communicate. We need somebody impartial. Helgen is a friend to both of us, you might say, and Oliver allowed it. We're, in between favors. Winifred nodded and turned to him. Good. When Methuselah signs, I'd recommend Helgen for the trade position. Noted. Winifred cocked her head, allowing a half smile to infect her fearsome face. Keep out of trouble, Yeshua. I'm always watching. As am I. As Winifred leaves, of course Yeshua has to watch her go. Throw up that counter as he daydreams of defiling and contorting and decapitating the mighty Grand Whisperer. So, it is confirmed that Methuselah is the mastermind behind the Meyer operation, and Fontaine is an undercover mobster moving through the Hammerloian rings and casino, while she ensures smooth operations within the Thuum. Yeshua just provides resources. This is awesome. This subchapter ends with Yeshua confirming that if you build a cultist following, then you are nigh unkillable in this society, as there's always a crowd of people who are willing to die for you. Interesting. Subchapter 2 is just 2 full pages describing Yeshua's circus, otherwise called the Empire. It's nothing but purple prose, but the purple prose are so purple that it becomes abstract.
And tonight, after my big promotion, we're gonna party till we're purple.
I love being purple!
Alright, on to subchapter 3. We are introduced to a creature named Mystique. She is utterly useless. The author added her solely as eye candy for the reader. Of course, her description is going to add to that counter. Throw it up. Back to the plot. The sexy lamp is performing on stage, and how it works is that whenever a creature puts an item on stage, if the dancer takes that item, they must entertain that creature who offered it. And we get a dapper Kivawacket in a yellow suit who puts a coin on stage. A coin from the Trade Revolution. This is an artifact. Of course, Mystique is gonna take it. This is extremely rare. And here we meet the mysterious Fontaine, one of the survivors of the Trade Revolution. Hell yeah. So Fontaine takes her to Yeshua's domain, the Empire. This chapter would have been interesting, actually would have been better written if this was from the perspective of Fontaine instead of introducing this useless character Mystique, because she doesn't really appear outside of this subchapter, and it's just a waste of time the way they use her. She's quite literally the stereotypical sexy lamp. Subchapter 4, we are introduced to a far more useful and deadly character named Harlow. And she has a romantic relationship with the one and only sexy, suave Yeshua. Yet she is the doll who is in charge of all the dollies within the Empire. I like how throughout this act, or at the very least throughout this chapter, she questions her relationship with Yeshua. Is it real? Or is she just another one of his playthings? She just happens to be his favorite. Unfortunately, that isn't expanded upon. Okay, maybe it's a good thing that was expanded upon, because guess what? Bring out the counter. Every female character that failed. There it is. Anyways, Fontaine arrives at the Empire with the Ginger Kivawakian in tow, and of course Harlow examines her, and well, yeah, let's throw up that counter one more time. After she's done examining this dolly, Harlow escorts the pair, but the Ginger's only purpose is to make Harlow jealous. So all the moments from this point on regarding that little subplot will be ignored, as it happens so many times. On to subchapter 5, first page. Pull that counter back up. It's getting quite the exercise. Now, all of them are ogling at this Mystique character, how shapely she is, and not even a paragraph later, we get to page 214 with decapitation. Put the counter back up one more time. Harlow leaves the men to do the deals and the talking, and takes Harlow's head with her. Finally, we can get to the damn plot. So, watchers, dear book enjoyers, remember how back in the beginning in chapter 1, the supplier I mentioned who gave Goldun his orders, Her name is Greta, and she is Methuselah's direct contact, a whisperer without title for this underground drug operation. Fontaine wants to know why Methuselah won't sign, as currently this is all an inside job. Signing will get Lockett off Methuselah's back so they can start more complex operations. Plus, Helgen is tracking, so she will assist them after the fall of Lockett's regime, her old empire. Now, Fontaine has the same question I did. Is there something else Methuselah wants or needs in order to sign off on this proposal? And if so, why has she told him or his subordinates? Yeshua doesn't know, but he's terrified of being caught working with this lowly, gangly criminal such as Fontaine. The dapper fella in yellow has a little black book with all the names and faces of all those involved with the Mire operation. If this fails, if anything fails, this book will become a death note. Nothing could stop the entire city from eating them alive, literally and figuratively, as there's always someone ready to replace you the second you are considered incompetent. If anyone in that book is caught, they will be considered incompetent for trying to overthrow the mighty Lockett. Now, because the scene did a great job, of course I'm gonna read it. Pages 216 to 218. Ain't any trouble on your way in, said Yeshua. Hello, was pleasant. You don't gotta lie, she's a brute. Yeshua chuckled across his legs. Show you something, alright. Available? Oh, no, she's my prize. Fontaine leaned in. Your only prize? Tell me what news of the political world. Yeshua cleared his throat and drank from the bottle, gazing into the flickering flames. It happened. Nathaniel opened Lockett's proposal for consideration. And? Can't proceed without a unanimous vote. Methuselah won't sign. Why not? You mean you don't know? Said Yeshua, glaring at Fontaine. I've turned a blind eye to your scheming long enough, so you better fill me in right now. I don't know what to say. I don't deal with Methuselah, not directly. Gatsby pulled a black book from his pocket and splayed it upon his lap. The left pages held sketched faces and the right were their names and details. I have you in here. I have Greta, Basil, Teases. I have contracts across the city, but no Methuselah. If you want to know what's happening above your head, don't turn to the lower rungs of the ladder, my friend. I have nothing for you. Yeshua took another swig from the bottle and pointed to the book. Hand it over. You needn't concern yourself. It's in Gatsby's name, a legal tender. The book is harmless in his pocket. Except yours is the pocket of Fontaine. I want it destroyed when this is all over. In good time. But for now, I have an operation to manage. Yeshua turned his head up to the ceiling. If Methuselah wants to drag this out, she can do it on her own time. I'm out. It stops. I can't do that. You know I can't do that. Most of my contracts are in the casino. Then you better tell him. Where's Greta? Treading a lead. Yeshua raised an eyebrow. The Niedermeyer fire. One of my distributors, Goldun, went missing shortly after. Yowlish? No, they would have made a statement by now, but they'll investigate. A third party, then? Who? Not sure, but Greta will find them. Yeshua arose from his chair, put everything on hold until I spoke to Methuselah. But what is it she wants? Said Gatsby. Perhaps we should ask her, because now I'm not sure. Helgood is making arrangements as we speak. He turned. Don't think of me as an idiot. The Mire. What is it? I can't say. My job is distribution. That's all. It's Greta who reports to Methuselah, and she tells me very little. Am I to assume that Mire caused the blaze? I'm not certain. There are some kinks in the chemistry, or so I'm told, but it's safe to drink. Fontaine reached into his left pocket and pulled a small phial loose. See for yourself. Yeshua snatched it and drank it empty. A few moments of silence pass. Then he massaged his jaw. Makes my teeth like. I can't speak to its utility. Greta seems to want data above all else. Which means Methuselah wants data. What if it's a weapon? Have you thought of that? What if Methuselah's insane? What exactly are we caught up in? Lower wrong, old chap. Don't ask me. All I can tell you is we haven't moved much at all. The shadow looms larger than the product itself. The fear of Fontaine. But who's buying it? Fontaine shrugged. It's random. No more. Got that? You answer to me. I deal with Greta too, and Greta is my link to Methuselah. And which of us do you really need? Fontaine stood. Both, it would seem. Still, I'll wait for Methuselah to sign. That was the deal after all. Yeshua nodded. Good. Where were you going in the meantime? The fire in Bireborn has left a pit of inactivity in the town. Some claim to have seen a bright and wild light. If my lot were involved, I need to keep the Yalish off the trail. I'll see what I can pull together. Keep my eye on the place. Make a bit of profit while our deal sleeps. He straightened his jacket, and once our deal is put to rest for good, I expect what I am owed. Once Helgen stands his voice to trade, I'll wait sure cut you a nice piece of it, unless Roger Penny goes for the job. The atmosphere became cold, and Fontaine's face grew a shade whiter. But you'll make sure that doesn't happen. His voice seethed. I'll be in touch. What about your dollar? Next time, just remember I've paid. Gatsby, said Yeshua, looming high above him. Tread lightly. I always do. And with the tip of his yellow hat, Fontaine took his leave. As you can see, this is why I love Fontaine. He is this old and gangly Kivawakian that has a lot more power than people assume. And I believe he lied about not knowing what Maya really is. Because what kind of creature would Fontaine be to have such a massive operation and not know what he's smuggling, not know what he's pushing? And he has direct contact, well, indirect contact with a voice? Of course he would lie to Yeshua. After Fontaine leaves, suddenly Holler rushes in with terrible, terrible news. Starlook Ink House has published an article called Polly's Tab Infiltrated, and Yeshua is terrified upon discovering what the public knows. The massive stash that was there has been exposed. Subchapter 5 is just a repeat of what happened at Polly's Tab, but in article form. It's a waste of time and energy. Someone with power has leaked information because Wexel would never allow a report to even exist without all the pieces of information. So Yeshua seeks his rabbit Harlow to go find the author of this article, Javier. Her task is to interrogate him, get all the information that is needed, and then kill him. Harlow hops off with lethal grace, and once she is gone, Yeshua puts Mystique's head back on her shoulders and offers her a job at the Empire because she's visually appealing. And that concludes chapter 5. In summary, Methuselah is the mastermind behind the Maya operation. Fontaine works closely with her through Greta, the mutual contact. Yeshua provides infrastructure. There's been a massive drug bust. Not Lucy's triple homicide, but with Polly's place being exposed, now the public has confirmation that yes, this does exist. This is no longer a theory. This is no longer a hearsay, a rumor. Maya is a thing that's being smuggled, and now the more powerful creatures are going to start making moves. As you can see, outside of the constant need for bringing up the counter and all the sexual things in this book, this chapter is relatively well compared to the other ones. But as of now, I finished chapter 6 and we discover there are other creatures outside of the Underbirth. And in chapter 6, the mighty Dalton and Celia encounter her firsthand. Now, if you like my videos of autistically analyzing books, consider subscribing, liking the video, and sharing. Until next time. Greetings, humans and humanoids. I am Cubanoid, the personification of someone's hyperfixation, and today we're diving straight back into Sam Fennah's Amygdala, Chapter 6. Again, I don't have any sort of intro to encourage you to like and subscribe, so let's dive right in. Chapter 6. It opens with a law from Winifred herself saying any foreign creatures must be captured by the Yowlish and examined. Violent outsiders would also be detained. That's a huge plot hole. Why would the Yowlish in general take prisoners? They have literally gone to war with these outsiders multiple times before, after the creation of the Underbird. There were many who were against Locke in her city. Some actively fought against her, and others simply just didn't want to be citizens of the city because of the laws themselves, yet most were killed with little surviving. Or maybe that in and of itself is a lie. I would not put it past Locke to rewrite history in her favor to demonize the outsiders. We are back to the investigators. Celia is at Diether Hall, one of the academies for the young Yowlish. She talks to them about a historical battle with the Howlers, members of the Horizon clan. The young fighters point out how much she knows and ask if she was once a warrior too. She lies and says, "Oh, I'm just a history buff." And it's extremely obvious that she was a warrior, but something traumatic happened that resulted in a TBI and the voices in her head. That mystery would have been truly fantastic to dive into. If only there weren't laws against cowardice, and by the grace of plot armor, Celia isn't killed or folded and turned into a chair. I do like the fact that she lives her life hiding this mental illness because exposure is a death sentence. The kangaroo mercenary leaves to take a bath, and her babysitter, Barthy Boy, meets her there. Barthy does not want her influencing the young students, and they argue until after several pages. He gains common sense and figures out that she was once a warrior, in fact, an officer. Hooray for pattern recognition! That means she was either above, near, or at the same rank as Dalton, but her stripes are unknown. Barthy Boy never pushes for answers, not once, regarding why she left or what happened to her, because he's nothing more than a babysitter to make her look cool and awesome and deadly. Suddenly, Dalton rushes in and informs them about Javier's report. Celia becomes extremely upset, and sooner or later she'll be identified and killed for whatever she did or didn't do in a battle with the Horizon clan. At this moment, she's quickly destabilizing. The voices are growing darker, they're growing louder. If only she crashed out like she did for 5 days of rest and food. Not sure why she didn't here when her very life is in danger. I would have 100% loved watching her crash out even more violently than she did during that time. But of course, Dalton with the power of friendship was able to calm her down. She has been detained because someone she thought was a friend dragged her into an investigation she did not know become such a big deal. Celia is essentially a tool for Dalton. He literally has the power to order her to do whatever he wants because he still has rank. She doesn't, and disobeying Yowlish usually ends in death, but because there are once gimmicks in arms, he doesn't kill her. Dalton, again, calms her down because all the warriors have been summoned to meet Hayden of 10 Stripes and the new mission to go out and confirm that there is in fact Aurelian via the Sherpike mine. They all leave to the courtyard and wait for orders. Now, watchers and book enjoyers, Fontaine and Methuselah have made quite a distraction here with this resource shortage. But the real question is, how did they get so many creatures to believe it and spread it? Someone high above in the Thume helped spread this chaos and hasn't been caught. Good for them. Good for them. Subchapter 2. We get an overly described description of Hayden, but there's something strange. As he's a male character, he magically lacks the Gower hair and the big black nipples and the soft stomach. The 10 Stripe pulls Dalton to the side and asks him, why is Celia here? Dalton tells him that it's Wex's orders, and that is the only reason she's even alive and allowed here. Hayden orders that she remain in the center of his platoon and be watched at all times, as she is now Dalton's responsibility. Hayden is reasonable and logical, as he can't overrule the voice of Yalish, Wexel's orders. Subchapter 3, I kid you not, it's literally 2 pages of them marching through the Hammerlow ring of jazz into the glaze. They chant, Ole, Elo, Ole, Elo, and that's it. Subchapter 4, they are still marching, but we are treated with another huge exposition dump about carnivorous plants. Thankfully, we finally reached the mining compound. Now, this is what really upset me. Dear watcher, dear book enjoyer, instead of allowing Celia to go into the mine with Dalton to investigate, Dalton orders Bartholomew and 2 others to stand outside and babysit her while he and another nameless giveaway can go in. And Celia? She literally sits outside the entire time. So why bring her if she isn't allowed to do anything? Celia is written to have a keen eye and incredible investigative skill. Dalton is inefficient with his warriors, as this is an incompetent order. Finally, in subchapter 5, something incredible is discovered. Dalton and the other useless Kiviks are inside to confirm that there is in fact Aurelian. Congratulations, I don't care. But, deep in the mines, following a foul scent, Dalton hunts for its source. The warrior finally discovers something that pushes the plot forward. Pages 249 to 252. The smell became stronger, though he knew not what it could be. A dormant body? He thought, no, it's fresh. He didn't have the answer, and pointless theorizing would bring him no closer to the truth. The truth, as it happens, came to Dalton in the most peculiar formations. For after turning a sharp corner of Aurelian, his snout touched noses with the source of his curiosity. Inches from his face, there beamed a female, smiling widely with large white teeth on proud display, if not a little wonky. Dalton gasped and withdrew, adopting a low, prowling battle stance, snarling, replying to her flat, toothy smile with a full set of razor teeth. Startled, the girl sprang back, panic distorting her features. I'm not reading her description. Dalton allowed himself to relax, as it was evident the female had no hostile intentions, other than her assault upon his nose, for which she was surely the source. What's your business here? He asked her, but the female dropped her smile, confused. Speak up. Demon, she said, pointing to his head. Demon, demon! What? The girl cocked her head. No fly? No fire? She spread her wings and flapped them, wafting her stench directly into his face. No spell cast? Enough. Dalton grabbed her by the wrist and yanked. She resisted at first, but a snap of his jaw stilled her. Dalton's descent was more of a struggle than a climb, thanks in part to his company. The little female protested with every few steps, wriggling with the energy of a restless child. She had not the strength of a matured specimen, yet despite her battling, he seemed keen not to cause undue harm. There was something about this little one, something soft and pathetic, that betokened a special kind of pity. What's that foul smell? Hayden demanded, turning up to face Dalton, who led the pacified female down a stony set of steps. An outsider, he answered, as a small crowd gathered. Found another way in from both, drawn by our march, I think. An outsider in the glaze? Must have slipped by the frontier watch. The overseer narrowed his nostrils into slits. Bloody heck! Hayden's mind itched. Short it! With a light grunt, Dalton shoved the girl forward, and she stood before the general shivering in fear. Hayden looked her up and down. How would you find yourself here? Dalton poked her. She doesn't talk much. Apparently not. Another entrance, you say? Odd. Hayden turned to the girl. Best get rid of this little mess. With no hesitation, the general formed a mighty axe-shaped weapon from his forearm and raised it above his head. The female broke her silence. Freda, bless me! And the general altered his attack, nearly slicing through his foot. Dalton forced a whisper. Freda? Hayden stepped closer. How do you know that name? Freda! Freda! The female burst to life, and fear filled her face. Away, demons! Curse the demons! Protect me, O king! Oh, they bewitched! I can't understand half the words she's saying, Dalton groused. Hayden snapped his fingers. Dalton, take the female to Wexel. Bring 2 others. Yes, sir. Name them. Celia and Bartholomew. The black hole is no reality. She stays with me. Order, sir. You brought her here to war. Then commit her to a task. Hayden lingered in a moment of thought. Go, he said. Dalton produced a low grunt, and the outsider followed. After a short negotiation of darkness, the 2 burst into the light of the glaze. The Yowlish outside regarding them with curious eyes, but knew better than to ask. The fresh air was clean and sweet, a much-needed reprise from the deep and dusty tunnels. This changes everything. They have found a herbivore Kivawakian. The fact that she simply exists can make everyone in the underworld question their very society. Now, Freya's body must be a monument or an idol that the outsiders worship, but as to why is unknown. Either way, this means she comes from a society of mercy, understanding, and kindness, but she is treated and written like some primitive animal, some primitive human. It has the same feeling as a European colonizer finding a quote-unquote savage Native American and seeing them as subhuman, so they must be taken back to their world to become truly civilized. In addition, we will discover through his writing that the author is clearly a hardcore atheist and makes the concept of these creatures making or having a religion or belief system automatically stupid, illogical, and incompetent. The rest of this chapter just shoves that fact in our face over and over and over again until it's sickening. By the way, the outsider's name is Felicity. I'm not gonna waste your time with that either. Subchapter 6. Bartholomew confirms what the reader already knows, and we get this little gem. It's been a while since the counter showed up, and I was really hoping we would have one subchapter that didn't have this weird description. But page 255, here you go, you can observe and enjoy Celia's pubic hair. Shortly after, we get a humorous scene from the voices in her head, and I'm going to read that little piece. That's kind of funny. Celia opened her eyes again, gazing up at the swirling fractals above. It's not that. It's me. Kill him. Kill him. Kill him. The others whispered in voices like her own. Do you feel that? The scratch upon your shoulder. Scratch it, or the ground will swallow you whole. You'll suffocate and scream and die a horrible death. Celia scratched her shoulder. It's me. Anyways, we get a little bit more information about her past, but it's vague and adds little to what could have happened to her. Any theories I had kind of went to nothing. If anything, the lore that is added focuses more on her anatomy, but luckily that doesn't add to the counter. And that concludes chapter 6. In summary, they find a herbivore Kivawakian that can change the very aspect of the society. That's literally it. Probably one of the shortest summaries I've ever had. But her very existence, as I said, if anyone else knows that she's a herbivore, that means that they're able to evolve outside this harsh society. More could leave, but leaving the unbirthed could be a hassle. It's almost like a North Korea situation where leaving will result in the death of you and maybe the people you care about because you're rebelling against Locket to leave her magnificent city for what I'm assuming is a commune on the outside. I don't know, that's very interesting. So, if you like my videos of autistically analyzing books, consider liking and subscribing. Until next time. Greetings, humans and humanoids. I am Cubanoid, and today we return to Fennah's Amygdala, Chapter 7. I'm not gonna waste time because there's a lot to get through, so let's begin. Subchapter 1. It opens with a law from Wexel, simply saying, "Don't protest violently. If you do, you'll be shamed and or killed." And we are back to the journalist trio. This chapter is just all the information from the journalist's point of view. They all board a steamboat to witness the Yelchin March, and here we learn Ludwig has a fascination with boats and sailing, even though he tries to play it off as casual curiosity. And because this is Lucy's first real job, he gifts her her very own notebook. Tree Boy is still generous and kind to her after all the trouble she's gotten him into. Amazing. On the mission for information, they all have established roles. Ludwig is the illustrator, Shale is the head writer and editor, and Lucy is just an additional writer. While other ink houses have dozens of inkers to witness this event, Ruthergush only has 3. Part of that makes sense because if Wiley is only highly filers, then most of his content is not up to par, but why not just hire more filers and train them better? The problem with this book is that there's so much information about the setting and the world, but it all feels dead and empty. Yes, this is a plane of existence before the Big Bang, but it's not truly lived in. The world building is hollow, contorted, and drowning in veldt. The only time we get any living world building is when we are around dollhouses, dollies, witnessing decapitation, or bodies shooting veldt from their gowers. Moving on. They arrive at their destination to see the march, and here, Lucy fails miserably at gathering information. All that faith in Verbose was for nothing because when they get back, Wiley will be livid. Subchapter 2. We return to Ruthergush Ink House and Wiley blasts her on the spot. He has every right to just kill her for failing so terribly. She even had the audacity to write this in her own hand. How arrogant, how selfish. Yet, Wiley has mercy even though he should have at least made her enter some sort of paperweight with how small she is. The plot armor protects once again. So, instead of exterminating this candy cane colored rodent, he orders her to rewrite the entire section in less than an hour and then punishes Shale and Ludwig by forcing them to do inventory. Lacemaker, defeated and upset, returns to Ludwig's quarters. And dear watcher, dear book enjoyer, what do you think she does? This time, it is a multiple choice question. So let's begin. Is it A, rewrite her section of the report within the hour in hopes of keeping her job, as if she's fired then she's as good as dead? B, apologize to Ludwig for manipulating him into this parasitic friendship, as he has not once benefited from her existence since killing Marvell? Or C, randomly decide to ruin Ludwig's older articles by erasing his work with a makeshift white ink and writing entire sections just to discover she has the extremely rare ability to copy anybody's handwriting perfectly. If you guessed C, congratulations, you win a gold star. Lucy Lacemaker is suddenly an expert in forgery and document fraud. No training, no foreshadowing, no build-up, just plot convenient expertise. Why didn't we see the skill in the beginning when Lucy's letter recommendation from Sally was burned to the ground in her triple homicide? Why didn't we see her forge a new letter recommendation in order to get the job at Ruthergush? That solves 2 problems. 1, it gets the readers to like her more because she's no longer manipulating Tree Boy. And then 2, it shows she has the initiative to use her criminal-like skills to get a job instead of manipulating the people around her. In addition, I know I said I would save my predictions for the end of each video, but there's no doubt in my mind that Lucy will be used by the powerful creatures to erase their names from Fontaine's Little Black Book, so that if or when the Maya operation is destroyed, they won't suffer the consequences of betraying Lockett. Moving on, Ludwig returns to his room and he is thoroughly upset, but for some ungodly reason, he suddenly admires her talent. Not only does he praise her for her new skill, he sides with her, saying that Wiley was unfair. What do you mean, unfair? She was lucky to walk out of his office alive. You were too. Then, instead of leaving her to do what his boss has ordered her to do, Ludwig sits down and rewrites her entire section for her. He even takes measures so that Wiley won't notice by writing in inker's print, a neutral front that all journalists and those around them, like the higher-ups in the Thume and the Hammerlow, know how to write in. Humans and humanoids. This violent, eugenic world set before the Big Bang contorts and mangles itself around the scruffy alien's favor because the author refuses to let his Mary Sue face the consequences of her actions. The author never once shows us the brutality of this world. He's too busy writing with one hand. God forbid you don't know how many nipples a character has. God forbid you don't know the exact texture and muscle to fat ratio of their thighs, stomachs, and behinds. God forbid you don't know the color and quantity of their pubic hair. God forbid you don't know the exact measurements of their breasts. I wouldn't be so critical if Fennah labeled this book properly, admit that he wrote softcore corn mangled into a sci-fi political drama. Now, back to the main point. Let's look at the positives. I can sort of see what the author is trying to do. Perhaps he's trying to foreshadow that Ludwig will join the antagonists in their fight to destroy Locket and replace her with Methuselah. I know it sounds odd, but Ludwig is a caring creature in a city that would kill him without a second thought. He is easily manipulated, but I believe he will grow a backbone, much like Methuselah, and betray Lucy to join the Horizon Clan after he finally understands how terrible a person she is. When Tree Boy finishes doing Lucy's work, she takes it to Wiley and Wiley sees it as good enough. Lucy lives another day with the power of plot armor. Sub-Chapter 3. The trio are then sent out to trade their old newspapers for whatever they need in this bartering economy. This section is just one huge exposition about the trade revolution, and of course, page 273, a disgusting statue. On the statue, the inscription says, quote, "Remember all the fates of the false revolution, born of envy, ended by duty, preserved by shame." Long dead, these are the faces of the trade cartels immortalized in humiliation. As Shale and Lucy talk more about the laws in general, it's clear that Locket's laws are biblical. There is no escape from the city. You live in constant fear that someone better than you will replace you. When that day comes, you will die, no questions asked. Knowing this, I hypothesize that Methuselah tested her own laws out in the Glaze with the Horizon Clan, and it worked. So I can see why she's trying so hard to spread this doctrine, because it's successful. No decapitation, no cannibalism, no brutality, no contortion, just harmony, understanding, and peace for all. Much like Earth. Oh, sorta. Sub-Chapter 4. The trio finish selling most of their stock just as a red phase begins. The red phase makes adults more violent and aroused, and of course, we literally get several paragraphs describing how 4 Kivawakians fight to dominate a headless creature, followed by 2.5 full pages of Shale and Ludwig teaching Lucy how to sell things, but she won't use any of those tips and tricks when it's her turn. And then suddenly, there's a riot about to form around a book world regarding the Aurelian shortage. And as young inkers, the trio struggle to figure out what to do. Remember how Ludwig is paranoid of losing his job as it's a guaranteed death wish? How he fought tooth and nail in the negotiation with Marvell before Lucy ruined it? Ludwig, of all people, is the one that drags the other two in to help quell this forming riot by telling the public that there is no shortage. It's not a lie, as Sombra has a report confirming it. He uses the logic that asking for more will create the shortage itself, and it works. The crowd disperses. You'd realize that Ludwig risked his own life when he could have just walked away. If anyone in that crowd decided to say, "Hey, screw you, you're lying," and killed this inker, no one will bat an eye. It's not against the rules. If Shale pulled this impulsive move, it would make more sense, but the author needed Lucy to lecture Ludwig because he says, quote, "I'm just a little inker, what damage could I do?" Lucy is never wrong, much like Locket, so she crashes out on him, even quoting her mentor Sally with how dangerous it is to think your actions can cause calamity. Lucy even throws out the possibility that Sombra's report on Aurelian could be false. If it were false, then it would have never existed in the first place, or dozens of other inkers would have been killed for spreading false information and the correction would have been quickly made. This world holds information in the highest of regards. Mistakes alone can get anybody killed regardless of status. Just watch what happens to Javier for having the correct information in the next chapter. I'm surprised that Ludwig and Shale didn't just kill her for questioning the wisest creature in the entire Underearth, one of the descendants. Now, Ludwig is depressed after being belittled by a polka-dotted serial killer, and they leave so that Lucy can practice her golden selling skills at Browbeater Book Brawl, the same book brawl that was about to suffer from a riot. Subchapter 5. This section has no purpose other than to make Lucy look super cool and intelligent and awesome. With her grand intellect, she reads the bookseller like the back of her scruffy hands and can detect that he was lying about having only one copy of an extremely valuable book called A Brief History of the Trade Revolution. For some idiotic reason, the bookkeeper trades his incredible work of literature for Lucy's crummy little newspaper. He could have easily just said no, and that's a done deal, you're not getting it. But of course, the bookkeeper has to be intimidated by how ultimately intelligent Lucy is. Remember, watchers, background characters aren't allowed to use common sense. So the Mary Sue struts out, taking her prize and gloats about, "And all to spot a lie, learn to spot the truth." What a waste of time. Subchapter 6. This is the history of the Trade Revolution, the text itself. It's a very complex account of various events, but after analyzing the text for a few hours, I present to you my encapsulated summary. Money bad, trade good, by Luggett. Now, dear humans, this is my favorite part of this chapter. Remember Greta, the superior stalker? In this subchapter, she finds Lucy. As the rain pours, Greta gives Lucy the chance to surrender herself. The trio are utterly terrified because Greta could kill them without a second thought, without batting an eye.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Shale tries to play hero to defend her friends, but the smuggler hits her with a stunning strike, and the walking snake fails the saving throw miserably. Remember, the superior stalker could have just killed the other two and taken Lucy. She has every right to, and it's perfectly legal. But Greta believes in Methuselah's manifesto for a merciful world, so she just interrogates Ludwig, and he tells them where they work. Then, just as fast as she appeared, she disappears into the rain, a shadow once more. I love this scene, but not enough to read it. It seems like she's finally going to start suffering the consequences of her actions, killing one of Fontaine's henchmen. Fontaine actually cares about the people that work under him. Subchapter 8. Frightened by the mysterious drug dealer, they help shelter her feet and scamper back to Ruthergush Ink House. The other two ask Lacemaker if she knew this mysterious woman, and obviously she lies as they huddle in his room shivering from the cold rain. Another black phase is about to begin, but before the journalist can get comfy, there's a knock. It's Wiley, but behind him he reveals their newest employee, Greta. There we have it, folks. Wiley is in on the minor operation, and finally the main cast is involved. Dear watchers, this would have been a great end to a chapter, maybe the best yet, but of course the author has to ruin it with this. Page 298. I'm gonna let it linger on screen while I discuss why this is a red flag, a media red flag. Originally, I had no idea what was happening. Is Lucy sick? Did Greta poison her? It's confusing and overly erotic. And then I remembered something. Lucy is a Fowler, a kid, a teenager, maybe. Fennah has sexualized puberty. My issue isn't that puberty is mentioned. My issue is how it is framed. When a developmental milestone is presented in such a sexual way, it shifts from being character development, literally, into something more exploitative rather than plot-driven. This wasn't an act of nature or biology or natural selection or Darwinism or eugenics. This was written by a human being, a person with free will. A deliberate choice was made to put this scene on page, edited, and presented to readers as acceptable storytelling. Puberty is awkward, puberty is confusing, and sometimes it's frightening. It is a universal human experience, but it should never, ever be sexualized, because that could start and lead down to a very slippery slope of unacceptable content. If the goal was to show Lucy undergoing a biological development, there are better ways to handle it. You know what? Let's rewrite this entire scene. If this scene focused on Lucy passing out, then waking up somewhere safe and private after being carried by Shale, as she's the only other female she trusts. Maybe Shale cleans up Lucy after she sprayed Vilt everywhere where she was unconscious. Perhaps it's an embarrassing moment, but the two can bond privately. The emotional impact would still remain intact, but the framing would shift from voyeuristic to protective. Shale would also get more page time because right now, she's just a third party to the Lucy and Ludwig show. This keeps the story beat while removing all the disgusting undertones. Again, my issue isn't that this is how puberty works in this alien world. My issue was the decision to portray a minor erotically. Let no human say, I point out a problem without providing a solution. And that Humans and Humanoids concludes Chapter 7. In summary, Wiley and Ruthergush Inkhouse and all the employees are now in on the Meyer drug trade. In addition, Lucy has discovered she has the uncanny ability to copy anybody's handwriting. That's pretty much it. Until next time. Greetings, humans and humanoids. I am Cubanoid, and today we're back with Sam Fennah's Amygdala, Chapter 8. Again, I'm not going to waste much time because I gotta get through Act 1 before I can start Act 2. So, let us begin. Chapter 8 opens with a law from Yeshua saying that dollies must commit to a client's fantasies and must never fail, nor fall in love with them. Similar to the previous chapter's laws, but on page 300 we get this interesting quote. Understand, work was no foul thing to these animals. It was their greatest pleasure, the justification for their existence, the measure of pride. To lack it being needed was the root of a life, the truest anchorage. To be wanted was decorations, baubles for the branches. Let's pause to analyze this. I realize that I keep mentioning eugenics, but I never explain the difference between Darwinism and eugenics. Darwinism describes how natural selection works in nature. It is an explanation of how evolution works, not a moral framework for judging the worth of individuals. This quote says civics justify their existence only through their usefulness to others and their society. By defining one's value purely in terms of contribution, this creates a hierarchy of lives where creatures who can't contribute become useless. Basically, anyone unable to fulfill a productive role, whether it be through a disability or simply being born incorrectly, they lack justification to simply exist. Readers and watchers, we are beaten over the head with this over and over and over again, but guess what? We never see this shown on page. It's just monologues upon monologues and strawman arguments. This author glorifies a eugenic society, but refuses to show it, refuses to go all in. For example, are you blind? Are you deaf? Are you mute? That's unfortunate because your purpose is to be fed to those who deserve to exist. Those who are born correctly, the genetically superior. Are you a mentally ill loner in a society that abandons you and treats you like trash? Meat grinder you go, because even unseen weaknesses deserve death in the underbirth. Anything to keep the gene pool clean. If you write a hardcore world of brutality where aliens have primal instincts to kill, fondle, and mangle anything they deem weak or stupid, lean into that horror and stop making everything so horny. Back to the plot. We return to the Bad Bunny's point of view. Harlow finds Javier at the Love House. She builds her own little character named Gabby, a young, inexperienced dolly looking for clients. Smaller plot hole. Harlow is the lover of the most famous entertainer in the entire underbirth. She is the face of the Empire's dollies, with her being a doll. Somehow, Javier, no anyone else knows who she is?
nor how dangerous she could be? How? This is yet another moment where common sense would have been greatly appreciated. But I know you all missed it. Bring back that counter. I used this image earlier, but I didn't count it, and just because of the way it looks, I'm going to count it. This is eye candy for the reader. After this quick exchange, they agreed to meet at Xavier's dollhouse to trade services. Subchapter 8. Harlow leaves the inker and heads down to Savi's place to make sure that he's tracking on her next mission. He suddenly vomits lore on the master pimp Yeshua and how he invented dollhouses, but as he's yapping, Harlow confides in him, but he just hypes her up for the next mission. No real support, but Savi is proud of who Harlow has become. He lets her know that if push comes to shove, then she will always have a place at his dollhouse. The Rabbit is a murderous pawn in the high-class Kivawakian's game of politics. Much like Celia, her loyalty and lethality are controlled by a superior. Subchapter 3. Javier has the survival instincts of a goldfish cracker. Instead of doing the deed at the establishment made for indulging in personal pleasures, he has the wonderfully plot-convenient idea to take Gabby to his living quarters at Starlock Ink House. Here, Harlow reveals who she truly is. The doll of Yeshua's circus gets all the information she needs and then kills him. He dies daydreaming about her character, Gabby. Thankfully, he dies normally, no veiled shooting from his gower. The most important information in this chapter is that the leak Javier received was written in a whisperer's handwriting. This is huge, but also illogical. Someone say incompetent. If every political figure and inker knows how to write in Inker's print, then why was the leak also written in that font? Then it would have been made nearly impossible to track it back to whoever leaked it. The Yaos would have to investigate the details of the handwriting in and of itself to figure out who leaked these files. But no, even the antagonists aren't allowed to have common sense when it's convenient. Subchapter 4. At Starlook, Harlow confronts the editor, a creature named Felix, about the leaked information. And because she's a murderous zealot, she casually admits to killing one of his employees. Felix is shocked, but knows he can't be here, so they talk about what's happening. In the middle of this discussion, he worships the handsome, irresistible Yeshua in a passive-aggressive manner because he is his brother. Congratulations, I don't care. Long story short, Felix doesn't know anything about how Javier gained that information, and Harlow spares him. The Rabbit leaves the body there and rushes back to the Empire to inform Yeshua. Subchapter 5. It opens with an overly described scene where there's a massive string instrument that needs to be tuned. Yet it's described in so much detail that it becomes abstract.
I love being purple!
Mystique, the living luxury toy, is trying to tune one of its strings when Yeshua, the big, strong, handsome American furry man, is able to tighten the strings with his big, strong, furry hands. They flirt for no reason. Of course, it's just to make him look attractive, strong, and sexy. Harlow breaks up the little bonding moment and tells him that the leaks were in a whisperer's hand. Watchers and book enjoyers, the author once again treats this like a mystery, but it's obvious as to who this is. It's Nathaniel. He is technically not a whisperer, but Yeshua is too self-absorbed and cocky to help anyone. Plus, he still fears Fontaine's little black book. Helgen has Winifred's eye on her due to her employment with a creature named Oliver Cost. And the entire courtroom hates Methuselah for no reason other than that she's kind. Nathaniel is the only one who didn't show any hatred toward her. I understand that part of being the paradigm judge is to be neutral, but Fennah's writing fails at mystery and intrigue. And that concludes chapter 8. In summary, Harlow finds Javier, the leaker of this information, kills him, and figures out that this information was written in a whisperer's handwriting, most likely Nathaniel's. She rushes back and informs Yeshua, and that's it. So, if you like my content of autistically analyzing books, consider subscribing, liking the video, leaving a comment below because I will reply. Until next time. Greetings, humans and humanoids. I'm Humanoid, and we are finally in Chapter 9 of Fennah's Amygdala, the climax of Act 1. And at this point in time, I'm rooting for Methuselah. I know that she is the major antagonist, but this chapter really gives me like, yes, we should root for Methuselah. She's the only one that wants to stand up against Lockett, and you'll see in the reveal in the last subchapter why I actually give a damn about this character. Chapter 9 opens with a law that says the government should be completely neutral and based only on facts and objective truths, not personal beliefs or morals. It should interfere as little as possible in people's lives, encourage competition, innovation, and protect individual freedom above all else. They only step in if someone is causing harm to the underbirth itself. This is false. Lockett's laws are literally what she believes is right. She is not objective. She is a believer in moral relativism. For those who don't know, moral relativism is the idea that there are no universal or true sets of moral principles. The underbirth society believe that good and evil don't exist, but it fails to be morally gray, as most characters lean on the darker side. Most are manipulative, most are violent, most are selfish. There's no one that's truly good. It's almost like they're against the idea of being good. In addition, they are somehow at the whim of their primal instincts, yet at the same time, they're civilized and build their society on those unfiltered instincts to eat, kill, fornicate, and repeat. It's a little bit of a paradox. I found it annoying, but we're gonna move on. All of this was just another waste of pages, but guess what? We're back to the investigators. They are escorting Felicity back into the city, and the mentally ill loner's playing tag with her. It's cute, well written, but not enough to read. The outsider calls Celia Shadow Girl. I love it. These almighty, ultra-intelligent creatures still have no idea what a herbivore is, even though they have fought in previous wars with these herbivores. How convenient. Subchapter 2. They finally arrive in the underbirth, but we don't see other Kivawakians doing their best to fight the urge to kill this weak, stinking thing. No, nothing, barely an inconvenience, just a normal stroll through the underbirth. As they travel, we learn things about Felicity. Well, it's mostly Celia asking questions and teaching her correct terms about the city. Too bad the author beats us over the head with how anti-magic, anti-god, science-based, and objective this world is. It goes on for pages and pages, adding nothing to the plot. And then the crew stops for something to eat. Now, dear watcher, dear book enjoyer, remember how they have freshly slaughtered children hanging by their ankles on full display outside of every chop shop? Remember how they decorate their buildings and streets with the decapitated, humiliated, and contorted corpses of the stupid and weak? Felicity, a primitive, skittish herbivore who was kidnapped by a cult of murderous cannibals, is escorted into a chop shop. Instead of running for her pathetic life as she's been taken into this necrophilic freak show of a city, the author wrote Felicity was mesmerized by the complex architecture of the slaughterhouse restaurant.
What?
That is the most illogical scene in the entirety of this act. Why not have Felicity be absolutely terrified, fighting tooth and nail to run, to scream, to hide, and then have Celia calm her down somehow. Even though they just met, this kangaroo mercenary is almost like a sister to this herbivore child. Oh my god. Moving on. Inside, a bear waitress takes their orders and doesn't question why they're protecting this weak fowler. Because remember, background characters aren't allowed to have common sense. Celia pokes for more information about where this horse creature came from, and we get this scene.
No, said Celia. Profit is taken from net sales. Profit? Said Felicity, shaking her head. I don't know what you're asking. Profit is what you take from a sale. Get it? Profit! Mouth of gods! I'm lost. Is that a position like a chopper? A nod. Mm-hmm. Celia leaned in. Do you have a position? A role where you come from? Felicity pulled her ear down and pointed to a symbol behind. Follow. You follow? I follow. And who leads? Felicity repeated. Profit. Ah, I think I get it, sweetie. The author is painting Blackenrind, the city in the glaze, like it's a cult, based on the details in the previous chapters. But based on my predictions on Methuselah's ultimate plan, it's more like a religious commune of all the aliens who rebelled and lived. But why the tattoo? If anything, the nature of this tattoo would have been great, but no, we don't get those integral details. The author has to make sure that readers are tracking on three main aspects of characters at all times: stomach texture, memory glands, and pubic hair. Before getting their food, the bear comes back and hands them a newspaper to read. Subchapter 3. It's literally just the Inker's article. That's it, the one they were doing on the march itself. Shale and Ludwig's work only because, remember, Tree Boy rewrote Lucy's section. Subchapter 4. The author finally shows that Felicity is in fact a herbivore. She tries to eat meat, hates it, and then eats all the berries on Celia's plate. After a few minutes, she gets sick and they rush her outside. Conveniently, when the weak one vomits, she sees something truly disgusting. Felicity sees how fowlers are born. And guess what? We're gonna bring that counter back. It hasn't been getting too much exercise since the previous chapter, but here we go. Page 340. Dear watchers, dear book enjoyers, I'm gonna highlight a different section. This isn't the weird descriptions, but all of a sudden, after seeing this repulsive, traumatic event, after being in this disgusting city of monstrous creatures, the outsider is perfectly fine and understands everything? What? This is passive mind reading and illogical character writing at its finest. Fennah, stop forcing people to like certain characters. I promise you, your fellow human beings are able to comprehend the words on the pages you've written. I promise you, your fellow human beings are smart enough to put 2 and 2 together to get to number 4. Stop lacking faith in your fellow man, Fennah. Stop, okay? It's not that hard. Just write the book and let readers interpret it for themselves. Okay, on to the small positive nugget in this scene. Felicity calls the other creatures demons after seeing how they reproduce. So that means that either the Kivawackings on the outside reproduce differently, or they have a set of laws that prevents fowlers from eating each other. And that alone excites me. I don't have much faith that this is the answer, but that idea alone is kind of interesting. Subchapter 5. The investigators finally arrive at Dialer's Hall, and Wexel greets them. Felicity must leave Celia behind and go with the voice of the Owlish. The author takes a full paragraph making sure that readers know that Wexel is the strongest, smartest warrior, and she's super cool and interesting and awesome. Felicity is once again written illogically. Page 344. It was as if Felicity could sense the power around her, the extraordinary competence of Wexel and her fighters, and despite the urge to protest, to drag her feet, kicking and screaming,
The Yaoshan presence silenced her. Felicity decides to follow Wexel because she respects her and can sense both her incredible strength and competence. Common sense says she would do this because she fears death and what they would do to her body long after she's dead. She just witnessed an entire city with decapitated children outside of chop shops and mangled corpses on the outside of the streets and buildings as if they're decorations. Every creature she has met so far could kill her with little effort, but as if by magic, Felicity is 100% on board to abandon her mysterious life in the Glaze with the Howler clan to join this violent city where death lurks around every corner. Makes total sense. But watchers, dear book enjoyers, I have an idea. You know what would have been beautiful and twisted? What if Felicity was a scout or a spy trying to collect information about the underbirth through observing the mind because they follow Lockett's law. Run reconnaissance to help Methuselah win the political war with Lockett. Or maybe she could be similar to Harlow. Harlow is a rabbit lacking all the traits of a carnivorous creature, yet she developed her own brand of lethality. Felicity could have been something similar. She could be putting on an act pretending to be stupid to get close to Lockett and find out her real weaknesses. But no. The author wouldn't write such a complex and compelling character. I bet my eyeball and my antenna on it. Fennah wants so badly for readers to side with Lockett and Lucy, so he makes other characters stupid when convenient. Simply, Felicity is a savage backwoods herbivore who must be corrected in the ways of the underbirth, even though most of the laws contradict each other once you kind of line them up. In addition, this horse dragon is objectively stupid and weak. Why is she not dead? She has no job and contributes nothing to their city. Why wasn't she released to survive on her own? She is a Fowler after all. Plot holes here, get your plot holes here. After the hostage exchange, Barty Boy is finally free from babysitting Celia. Dalton sends him back to Hayden's platoon. Dalton and Celia can finally head off to investigate Lucy's crime scene in Vileborn. Subchapter 6. Wexel and the herbivore meet Quinn, remember? The blind politician. He is so blind that he has developed an incredible sense of hearing and the ability to sense chemicals with his fuzzy little antennas. We get confirmation that Blackarend has its own city in the Glaze within the story. Quinn begins examining the outsider, and we beat the same dead horse regarding what she is until the mighty descendants spawn in, and we get this lovely little quote. Page 349. Quinn was just about finished with his examination when the descendants, Lockett, Sombra, and Winifred, entered the humble reading room. Heads held aloft by pride and ancient dignity. We get it, Fennah. The living gods will never be made into chairs or meals. They are a trio of your overpowered OCs. Every human being on Earth has created a character like this. The idea of having a character that's so powerful they can do anything they want. That does not make you special. It's Lockett, of all people, who orders Quinn to educate Felicity, not Sombra. Strange, but here's another scene that I kind of liked, because it gives Methuselah a little more of a backbone. The Grand Architect looked between Lockett and Quinn, Winifred watching from across the table. Yes, he said, no one better. Then it's settled, said Winifred. Keep me abreast of any developments. Lockett moved around the table close to Felicity. First, I'll think a bath. Wexel saw her towards the chamber. I'll have a small cord to take her to the Halo chamber. No need, Wexel. I was heading that way myself. Quinn threw up his hand. May I accompany you, Grand Voice? You may. I said Fowler. Girl, come. Felicity slid coyly from her chair and followed Lockett from the room. Oh, Grand Voice, said Sombra, leaning into Lockett's ear. Methuselah is looking for you. she's reached a decision on the voice of trade. She'll sign my proposal. We can only hope. And sure, she knows where to find me. Methuselah is finally making a move, and I enjoy it. She may be a pushover, but she might be getting the fabled thing we call character growth. Locket and Felicity head to the Halo Chamber, but the chapter suddenly cuts back to Wexel and Winifred discussing Lucy's arson for some incompetent reason. The Yallers have no way of getting into the city of Vileborn because it's closed? Of course, the trained warriors, fluent in law and combat, are suddenly not allowed to enter a city to solve a case that could change the world for the better or worse. But a mentally unstable loner can? Sure, why not? The author never explains why. It's just to get his 8-nippled OC to show off again. More terrible writing decisions. Why not just have Dalton lead the investigation with Celie as an insider? My god, my brain hurts. But we're gonna move on. Winifred threatens Wexel not to fail her in this mission to destroy the underground operation as soon as possible, and then she leaves. Subchapter 7. We cut back to Locket, Quinn, and Felicity. Quinn is here to transcribe all that is spoken between this filthy child and the living god. Locket is surprisingly soft and motherly, taking in this strange herbivore, but we also get some plot-relevant information. Black and Ren Kivawakians worship the body of Freya. The creature they call a prophet takes care of them, educates them, and also makes time obey. Whoever this prophet is sounds foreboding, like an incredible antagonist for a final battle. Perhaps he has ability not rooted in science, magic maybe? That would have been awesome. This prophet character would be terrifying, a real threat to Locket because Locket wouldn't be able to understand how his powers work. A mage versus a living god in a society that believes in nothing but objectivism. You and I both know that's far too nuanced, but it would have made this novel 10 times better. Locket says that time manipulation is impossible. Meanwhile, there are hundreds of Mendosian doors that literally warp time, allowing you, dear Kivawakian, to travel between the trio of districts within their city within seconds. How hypocritical. Locket has built a city where time obeys anyone so long as they are traveling. But oh, dear watchers, dear book enjoyers, Methuselah arrives in the Halo Chamber to stand her ground. Methuselah calls out Locket on why she hasn't killed or just left this disgusting fowler to fend for herself like every other fowler in the city. Why give her an unfair advantage by giving her access to one of the best mentors in the entire city? Instead of answering, Locket orders Quinn to take the now clean Felicity away to begin teaching her immediately. She avoids answering that question this entire time, and it's hilarious. Now, it's just Methuselah and Locket alone in the bathhouse. Well, it's been quite a streak, but of course we gotta bring back that counter because Fennah cannot stop describing these characters' pubic hair. Page 360. The Grand Voice then pulls an oddly intimate power play. Remember, they're both naked in a hot spring. She dangles the challenge of taking her title as Grand Voice, gloats about how countless others have tried to take her head, shame her, and rule the city, but none were successful. Locket caresses Methuselah's face as they talk. The sexual tension is so thick, but it's also combined with Methuselah's unfathomable yet gentle hatred for Locket. Again, Locket could have just killed her right then and there, as there are plenty of people who want to replace her, especially after that tax hike situation. In addition, no one bat an eye regarding Locket killing Methuselah. This entire scene would have been so much better without the copious amounts of sexual tension, my god. But here, we get a good bit of dialogue between the two, even though Methuselah is suddenly written to be a terrible liar. Pages 363. Methuselah wandered past Locket and out of the pool, closing her white cloak over her damp chest. "You told me that we would be competitors. All of us," she began. "But what about those who falter, who fail, who lose everything? Your mechanical infrastructures that care so little for all it crushes. Does it ever bother you?" "Does it bother me?" said Locket, washing down her gray stomach. "Have you ever just wanted to just let go of what is proficient? Hold on to what is right? Right according to me or you. Just right. Moral." Locket shook her head. "Implement systematic change based upon your private definitions of rightness? What about everyone else? What of their definitions? What happens if the power shifts? Whose rightness do we follow then? Wah. This is why our system must remain objective, fair, mechanical, no matter how hard." "So it doesn't bother you? A lack of morality?" "It's a nothing sort of word, morality. Born of individuals, defined by the individual, shaped by time and personality. It's like art, subjective, unmeasurable, unsolvable, and never to be legislated." Locket's face froze over. "Quiet your motions, Methuselah." "Yes, Grand Voice." "Before you go," Locket followed her from the water, a perfect body dripping with silver spears, black skin glistening. "Do not believe yourself privy of any information I'm not. Whatever game you're playing, think it through." "Whoever said I was playing a game?" "This isn't a threat. This is advice," Locket sparred. "The reeling rumors, the tax hike, the leak, the darker materials. Do not think me blind." Methuselah's blood ran cold, but her voice retained its warmth. "Good lady, you can't prove I'm playing any such game. And even if I were, why might I stop?" "Because you'll lose." The look they shared was one of mutual scrutiny, their faces held in stone. With nothing to offer in reply, Methuselah turned and left the chamber, leaving Locket to gently don her elegant garments. Many splashings of paint there were, colors across a variety of spectrums, but little by little, Locket was seeing the picture, and Methuselah held the brush. Methuselah again stands up to Locket face to face, even if it was for a moment. "This is great, but then you flip the page and you get this." Again, I'm not saying all fans of Fennah are gooners, but you know how much money he's making off of the people who want to flip the page and see things like this. Subchapter 9. We cut to Winifred and Sombra arguing as they finally decide to test Meyer and discover what it could be. Folks, we are 370 pages into this book and we finally decide to do this. This book has the pacing of molasses in January. Winifred thinks that Nathaniel spread the leak, and because she's one of the three gods and can never be wrong, it's safe to say that I got it right first. Then Sombra suddenly remembers when they were kids, he wanted to eat her, but Winifred gave him a fruit? So you mean to tell me that Winifred was kind, generous even, when she was a kid, therefore proving not all fowlers eat each other upon birth? In a society where mercy is weakness, the trio of godlike creatures had mercy on each other before it was built. We're gonna move on. I'm not gonna go too far into that because that's really annoying. Side note, where were these two when Locket killed Freda, their mother? At no point did the book ever mention Sombra or Winifred helping or even being around in that time. I'm not expecting the book to answer that question. I get it, they have large, age spans between them, but Sombra is objectively the oldest. At least Sombra had to be there to witness this. But moving on. The opposites hit a wall when experimenting, so Sombra has to take Meyer to a guy named Mandus for answers. Why does Sombra have to do that? Sombra is written as the smartest character in this entire book because of his wisdom and his age being the oldest Kilwakian in the Underbirth. And they tell us that he's seen this chemical before, yet somehow Sombra forgot what it was despite being established as a creature who's literally unable to forget. What a massive plot hole. It makes him even stupider because if he has seen Meyer before and has the inability to forget, then why didn't he stop this from becoming a bigger problem? We still get no hints as to what Meyer actually is, and we are nearly 400 pages in. Subchapter 9. Now, humans and humanoids, we are at the final subchapter of Act 1, and this one surprises me. Methuselah returns to her chambers, and in a secret room attached to her office, she runs a nursery for sick Fowlers. There are about a dozen of them, but one or two stand out. One is the healthiest of them all, a girl named Heisenlay. We're gonna call her Heisen, and she has asthma. She is the brave one who takes care of all the others when the Hammerloin voice is gone for the day. We finally get a chapter, a sub-chapter with wholesome interactions, no weird bullcrap, a full break from the 370 plus pages of vile, raunchy content. Here's my prediction of what Meyer is. I believe Meyer is a medicine, harnessed regeneration specifically, but it's in its trial stages. Where it works, it worked out in the glaze, but needs to be perfected, so it works in all those aliens regardless of anatomy or dietary restrictions or dietary needs. Back to the children. The other one is a creature named Patches. He has a plushie of Locket that he never lets go of, even though he's in some sort of coma. There is an odd amount of attention given to him, so I'm predicting that he will be the first fully successful patient, and that would be awesome. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door, and for some stupid reason, Methuselah didn't secure her door as Nathaniel walks in, and I was correct. Who would have thought? He did leak the information, but now he is terrified because the trio of gods suspect him. It's only a matter of time before he is killed. The entire operation to overthrow Locket's rule will be over, and all their allies will be killed and contorted and shamed in yet another revolution if he and others are exposed. Methuselah quells his fears by saying she will use Locket's laws and her proposal against her during the next court session. The author does a fantastic job showing how serious she is about bringing about a new age of the Underbirth. Page 377 and 378. The judge seemed hesitant. Something fought against his passion, some cold logic from within. How do you know this will work? How do you know the city will follow? Don't forget, Methuselah. Locket is not the true regulator. It's all those who live here. How do you combat something so spontaneous? We make them choose. She fixed him with a stare. I just met someone. Someone who gave me a fresh hope. An outsider from far beyond the madness frontiers. Flat teeth, dull claws, soft and innocent and happy. This world I see when I sleep, it can be done. And what if they don't choose you? They will, Nathaniel, given time. Locket will die. The moment of quiet between them was interrupted by a thunderous blast from the Astral Watchmaker, a sound of merciless science in the key of F. The music hummed, alerting the city to the 6th tone. By the 7th end, Nathaniel, the city will be a flower, said Methuselah, guiding the judge from the chamber, a soft expression to settle his thoughts before closing the door behind him. This time, she locked it tight. This scene did a great job showing that Methuselah is willing to die for her new world, willing to die for this dream of something different. I love an all or nothing antagonist. but based on how the book is written, the author will beat you over the head and tell you not to think good of her. You are not allowed to form your own opinions or thoughts, as Lucy and Lockett are his favorite characters. Therefore, plot armor will protect him from any real harm or consequence. Everyone else is wrong, and you're not supposed to think otherwise. And if you do, then guess what? You read the book incorrectly. You read it wrong. You misinterpreted it. But Methuselah has her own manifesto and will present it in court. And Nathaniel has a new boost of confidence because he now has work to do. The giraffe Gilwacken then tells the Fowler's little bedtime story, and it's just an artistic way for her to explain her hatred for Lockett, and the kids love it. Afterwards, she sings them a lullaby, and they climb into the little bookshelf beds, and it's adorable. When they get all comfy and sleepy, Methuselah secures the nursery room and leaves, going back to her office. If the author left the chapter as is, this would have been one of the best chapter endings. A surprising one. But no. Methuselah strips naked and looks at herself in the mirror for no reason other than to give the author an excuse to render this photo. Page 382. The author needs to stop writing with one hand. And that, my friends, is the end of Act 1 of Amygdala. Act 1 was a total of 382 pages. In summary, nothing really happens. Everyone knows nothing, and Methuselah has a nursery. If you enjoy my content, consider subscribing, liking the video, leaving a comment below because I will respond. Until next time. Greetings, humans and humanoids. Y'all are not gonna believe this, but Act 2 is so much better than Act 1. He actually focuses in on the story itself instead of the strange and sexual preferences he has for his characters. So, without any further ado, let's dive right in. Chapter 10. It opens with the law saying the Yellows have the right to inspect. Essentially, the Yellows have a right to inspect a place if they suspect any illegal activities. If the owner is found guilty, then them and the product will be destroyed. But if they don't find any evidence of your crime, then you're deemed innocent. Essentially, just be a cunning criminal and you'll be fine. You'll be good to go. You'll never be found guilty ever again. Now, we cut back to Lucy as she awakens from the nightmare of a screaming face. Honestly, this dream kind of feels random as it doesn't foreshadow or allude to anything as of Act 2. I'd recommend Book 1 of Nora Robinson's The Dragon Age series if you want anything that does a great job with incorporating dreams into main characters and the plot itself. But back to Amygdala. Shale is here to help Lucy adjust to her new body and the changes that come with it. And of course, the author makes sure that we get a good look at Lucy with all the description he gives. None of these are explicit or strange, so they don't awaken the mighty counter. I know, that's strange. Lucy confides in Shale about the weird sexual feelings she had during the process of maturing, and Shale explains that this is how the Dudley trait was born, compliments her new body, and then takes her to a river canal to clean up. Subchapter 2. At the canal, the author pulls back on describing Lucy to actually write a decent scene where together they talk about Wiley and his decision to sign the Meyer contract. Lucy wants to leave, but Shayla is lying about why she's choosing to stay with Ruthergush. The reason is unknown, nor does it matter. Shayla quickly changes the subject to Greta and warns the scruffy Mary Sue that nothing gets past the superior stalker. Greta has eyes and ears everywhere. No matter where you go or what you do, someone will know. In addition, there are creatures that come during the black phases and they disappear when the light returns. Shale is putting two and two together, and now she understands that they are making Mara, even if Wiley didn't directly tell her. The conversation then returns back to Lucy's matured body while also describing how agile and strong and lean it is despite her short stature. But something is wrong. Something is very, very wrong with Lucy's body. Her eye nor her chest healed after becoming an adult. It is now a permanent symbol of her selfishness and stupidity. Lucy must live with these scars for the rest of her sad, scruffy life. Good. She deserves it. Subchapter 3. We cut to a quieter moment way back in Wiley's office, where he and Greta are enjoying a few drinks and talking about their lives together. Here we get a lovely explanation as to why Wiley cares so much about Ruthergush Ink House. Greta sat herself upon the desk, piercing with a haunting stare. I never asked your story. How was it you came here? Wiley took another sip. Chance? Chance? Girl named Ruby ran this place long before I did. Back when I was a fowler, I used to mooch up around Piper looking for anything with a string of meat on it. A moody little beast I was. Always looking for a fight, always ready for one. So, as you can imagine, I didn't quite understand the gesture when Ruby offered me a paper, asking for nothing but a smile in return. Such a quiet voice. But everyone listened to Ruby. It is for the loud voices we cover our ears, Greta put in. Wiley nodded and continued. Ruby saved my life, gave me something new, even helped me read my first line. I still remember those gentle hands guiding my eyes around the words. I remember the smell of ink. I remember everything. What happened to her? His eyes turned a shade darker. Died in the trade revolution. Strung up by the neck like a piece of meat. A hole the size of a fist through her skull. For no reason at all. Just anger. Just rage. Utter madness. Greta poured herself a glass and clinked it against the bottle. To those we lost. Wiley raised the bottle, but didn't drink. Aye, to those we lost. Ruby is to Wiley as Sally is to Lucy. He has lost someone who took care of him as a fowler and became his mentor in a senseless act of violence. It hurts even more because Ruby was just a bystander in the chaos, which makes it even worse. Ruthergush Ink House is the last memory of Ruby he has left, and Wiley refuses to let it die without fighting tooth and claw for it. This weird lion centipede character is kind of growing on me. I didn't really care much for Wiley, but he has a passion much like Ludwig, and I love that. As per usual, Lucy has to come in and ruin everything, for me at least. I genuinely hate this character, but anyways, he welcomes her in and admires her adult body with a purr. That is disgusting. I did not like that. It's only a small scene, but it gives the same feeling as having a creepy uncle compliment his niece's body after she got her first menstrual cycle and her body has developed. Gross. Anyways, Lucy is now face to face with Greta once more, and she blurts out that she wants to quit. Greta takes it as a joke and answers with her own, saying, "Aw, be careful, or else she might burn to the ground." Then she mouths the word Needlemire. Immediately, the scruffy serial killer locks in and lies, saying that, oh, she's just tired. Greta then gets up close and personal to tell her that Ruthergush will be making Meyer, and just like I predicted, they're going to use Lucy to hide proof and records of them gathering the ingredients in order to make it. When Lucy refuses, Greta was ready to kill her right then and there in Wiley's office, but it's him that saves her life. He pulls the conversation back to the Mary Sue's backwoods method of removing inks and tells her that he has a professional method and she must learn how to use it. Greta steps away and uses her clockwork device, and of course Lucy's obsessed with knowing what that is, but we don't know its function or why it even exists. From this point forward, we're going to call this Greta's pocket watch, because I use the word clockwork device so many times in this and I hate it. I feel like this pocket watch device is a nothing burger. There's no hints to what it does, not even like a few red herrings or ideas. It's just her little toy at this point, and it's very annoying how obsessed Lucy is. Moving on, the chapter ends with Wiley saying this. Come on, said Wiley, raising to his many feet. I'll show you how it works. Just relax, alright? We're doing a good thing here, girl. A good thing. Characters will say something along the lines of this, and the author is treating it like some sort of cult mantra instead of as the characters genuinely wanting good for their fellow Kivawakians. Subchapter 4. The ink removal method Wiley has is called Cyrotone. Wiley sees that Lucy is still on edge and admits that way back when, he was never going to kill her for failing her first report, the marching article. He just wanted to see if Ludwig was going to let her fail, but he still doesn't know that Ludwig is the one that wrote her entire section. And she doesn't say anything, she just takes credit for what Ludwig has done when Wiley tells her that the article sold pretty well compared to their other newspapers. Because of course she does. She loves taking advantage of anyone and everyone around her. Now that Lucy is an adult, Wiley lets her know that she has a new room because she can't stay in a room with a teenager for forever. That's weird. So, as Wiley is showing her how to use the machine, he ensures that she gets a few reps in, and Lucy tries to convince Wiley not to go through with making Meyer. Yet, she provides no evidence as to why he shouldn't, even though she has the literal scars to prove that Meyer is unstable. Literally, if Lucy admitted that she was the one that burned down Niedermeyer and explained her scars, that alone would be enough to convince anyone that Meyer's extremely dangerous. Hell, she could lie because she's really good at lying and say that Goldune burned down the place and she was just caught in the crossfire. But no, the plot has to warp around Lucy and lack common sense when needed. We get a nice piece of lore on Wiley's end with this quote. Because Rodagash is a rag! Wiley surprised himself. It will always be seen as such, no matter what we print, a satirical, lowbrow waste of ink. We're fixed with a reputation we can't escape, and all the other ink houses, Lacemaker, they're swallowing us. We need to survive. But Fontaine, he pointed to her. Lucy, Lacemaker, 2 names. Why? I wanted a trade name, because someone you admired had one. Sally Softon. Lucy thought, whose sweet bi-speckled face. Yeah. He pressed a hand to his chest. Wiley Lloyd. I don't use it anymore. You know why? I took that name because I admired someone. But if she ever saw this place, what it's become. It was a desperate honesty, but he was speaking to himself. I have to do this. Lacemaker saw her employer anew. Something had changed. Who was she? Ruby Ruthergush, said Wiley, and she was better than I. Anger returned. I will never give up on this place, you hear me? Perhaps Fontaine understand what it's like at that vicious precipice, edges from losing it all. He stormed to the door and lingered there, collecting himself, while he offered a final pledge. No matter what it takes, I won't let Ruthergush go. Now, get back to it. Again, great scene, but in this world, last name should have a great significance because, again, these creatures aren't born with parents. They pop out of a vessel like xenomorphs, eat each other in the vessel itself. So what the hell is Lucy's last name Lacemaker? Why didn't Wiley use Ruthergush, who, for those who don't know, which I doubt it, but just in case, a lacemaker is a highly skilled artist and a crafter who creates intricate decorative open work fabrics known as lace by manipulating thread. But not once does Lucy use fabric of any kind outside of the black and yellow rag used to create a psychological response way back in chapter 3. She even has his last name at the very beginning, and we don't know why she uses it. For you to take someone's last name and attach it to your identity, that shows that whoever that last name belongs to was of great importance to you. You carried that torch and the possibility to have someone else take that same last name because you had an impact on them. So why isn't Lucy's last name Safton? We all like alliteration, but that doesn't mean anything if there's no meaning with the name itself. Subchapter 5. After she's done practicing the new method of removing ink, Lucy comes down to visit Ludwig at his room. As they talk, she figures out that the real reason why she was given a new room was not because of Wiley, it's because Ludwig requested it immediately when she fell unconscious. It is very, very clear that Ludwig is secretly terrified of Lucy, yet for someone who is a master of psychology and lie detecting, how can she not see this nor understand why he is? As an adult Kivawakian, she could easily kill Tree Boy. It's like a toddler versus an adult chimpanzee. In addition, way back in chapter 3 when Lucy and Ludwig fell asleep in his room for the first time, she says, and I quote,
Lucy yawned and then voiced a final thought. I think you can kill anybody. You just have to make him redundant first.
Now, let's not forget when they first met, Lucy black belted him with a life debt, then used him for a month straight to manipulate his boss into getting her a job. But if you want the full context of that, you can go to my chapter 1 through 3 video here. I'm going to link it right here at the top, and I'm probably linking in the description just in case. Ludwig has suffered so much from the day he met Lucy. Hell yeah, I would kick her out the second I got the chance. Anyways, the two of them are the only people Wiley trusts with the truth regarding Meyer, and of course Shale already knows. But Lucy tries to lecture him on why they need to stop the production of Meyer at Ruthergush, and finally, Ludwig stands up for himself. The scene is well written, but it drags on for too long, so here's a summary. Tree Boy sees the potential of Meyer. Maybe, just maybe, Greta told him the truth about it being medicine, and as her student, now he must keep that information to himself for security reasons. Him, like Wiley, will stop at nothing for Ruthergush Ink House because this is his home, this is his life, this is his newfound family because his previous family he lost. We will learn more about the specifics of his backstory later in Act 2, but we're moving on. In addition, Ludwig truly wants to help anyone and everyone he can, regardless of how they're born or from where they're born. Lucy then breaks her promise to never bring up Marvel's death again and says that way back during that event, Meyer is what burned Marvel's face, but she's incorrect. Specifically, Fennah is incorrect. Fennah forgot what really happens in that scene. I'm gonna pull up here the specific page, I believe it's page 111, where Lucy is using an instrument that creates sparks to blind him. So Lucy smacks him with the glowing tool, and the sparks produced from that tool is what blinded him. Then Ludwig kicks him into his own meat grinder. Lucy alludes to her being involved with the Needlemeyer fire, and Ludwig is starting to put 2 and 2 together regarding the specifics, but he's not quite there yet to connect that Lucy was the cause. He just knows that she was in a fire and that's why she has the scars. The author brushes over this breaking discovery on Ludwig's end, and that's really frustrating. Hell, she could have admitted to what she did to convince him that Meyer is dangerous, or lied like the same situation with Wiley. But again, lacking common sense for the sake of the plot is something that the author must have. I like this scene coming up on page 403, where Ludwig points out Lucy's a hypocrite. Is this Needlemeyer? He knitted his brows. How would you know that? You saw it at Marvel's. It melted his face. I thought we agreed never to talk about it. Listen to me. Needlemeyer was just a fire. You've been sleeping for a while. He's hiding something, but Ludwig waggled a finger. You know better than to listen to a rumor. It's not a rumor. We'll see when the Yowls get to the bottom of it. It was an accident, nothing more. Lacemaker's eyes began to tear, but she fought against it. An accident. It was an accident, she told herself. But it wasn't. I hope you're wrong. What's he hiding? There is an order of things, Lucy. But that order can change. But, Lacemaker, Ludwig whined, I just don't feel comfortable. I'm not even a writer anymore. I'm only here to make forgeries, to lie. Lying makes you uncomfortable? Lucy felt accused. Oh, what's that supposed to mean? He immediately folded. Nothing. I didn't mean anything by it. Just, I don't want you to get in any trouble. It does kind of suck how Ludwig immediately folds, but that is a part of his character. He's very fearful. He's very careful. And again, Lucy has every right to kill him at any point in time if she deems him incompetent, because that's how this stupid society works. But to keep her even further away from thinking too hard about what he may be lying about, Ludwig gives her a gift. It's the stupid little red hat and the scarf that she wears to this day in all of Lucy's character designs. The little sociopath is happy and hugs him too tight to the point where he has to tell her to let go. Of course, he doesn't hug back, and maybe, just maybe, he's finally starting to turn his back on Lucy, just slowly, cautiously, and carefully. Yet, deep down, Ludwig still cares about her. I wish he wouldn't, because he is the GOAT. He deserves the world, a new world, and all of its joys. It's hard to tell if Fennah loves or hates Ludwig, because Ludwig gets a lot of good scenes in this act, but at the same time, he is shafted by all of the characters to make him look weak and sensitive. Like, he doesn't want readers to side with this soft, weak, lanky tree boy because Lucy is better, and if you don't like Lucy, then you read the book wrong. Anyways, Ludwig invites her to join him and Shell to go out and get a drink at a laugh house just to get a break away from work. She agrees and they leave. Subchapter 6. The Inker trio arrive at the laugh house to see Ruthergush's reputation compared to other ink houses. When Lucy goes up to trade for a drink, the minstrel, owners of laugh houses, seems disappointed that she even works for them. In addition, not many of the clients go to grab a paper from that ink house. Lucy returns with her drink and once again tries to bash Ludwig for his passion to save the place he calls home. Lucy wants Ruthergush to die while he doesn't, yet she apologizes for the first time in the entire book. Good, but nowhere near good enough compared to the hell that he's been through. Curiously enough, Ludwig asks where Lucy is from, and of course she lies. That's all Lucy's good for. Lying, cheating, manipulating, and stealing. Well, you gotta love it. Though, we do learn that Shayla's from Topside, I guess the top half of the Keep Whacking world as it's an inside-out Earth. That's new and interesting. We don't get too much information on Topside, but we're gonna move on. Ludwig carefully digs a little deeper, asking Lucy if she really cares about Ruthergush or why there or anything in general. Lucy answers saying that she wants to care, not that she does. Tree Boy sees that as good enough and doesn't push for any information because, remember, Lucy is a manipulative sociopath with a drink. Afterward, we get a couple of pages of Lucy getting white girl wasted to the point where she's dancing and singing in debates over a number she invented called Flup. The author thinks this is humorous, but it comes off as cringe. Maybe if he wrote Lucy better in this scene or just the entire book, the scene would have been charming. Lucy gets so drunk that the two teenagers have to carry her back to Ruthergush Ink House. Subchapter 7. Lucy wakes up before the next black phase and immediately sketches Greta's pocket watch from memory with the perfect detail because she's a Mary Sue. She opens the balcony window to find that Shale is out there too, smoking a cigar and watching the light fade. The gorilla snake inker figures out where Lucy is truly from, Viaborn, and discovers that Greta is here because of her or something she did. But of course, Shale doesn't press for questions because she's not allowed to have common sense either. Lucy, once again, is the master of changing topics. And due to her being a little drunk, she opens up about her insecurities, specifically her scars. Page 419. Lucy dropped her head into her hands. I was warned once of the little things, the small stuff that mounts up like pressure in a bottle. Wise words, and I didn't listen, said Lucy with a sniff, now staring into nothing. I'm so stupid. Shale eyed her, but there was no judgment. You're not stupid. A weak laugh. Thanks, but just don't tell Ludwig about this. I'm telling you because you've been about a bit, and I'm still a little drunk. I understand. I'm not sure he will. The lacemaker blinked her eyes back into alignment, then shifted, releasing an agitated sigh. Don't let it get you down, girl. I just thought, I don't know, that it might have healed. Did it happen in the fire? Yeah. An interesting look. Lucy crossed her arms. I hate thinking about it. I'm broken. Shale laughed and leaned closer. You are not broken. How could you look at me and say that? Voice Quinn, master of linguistics, none better in the city, has 6 eyes and none of them work right. Methuselah, the voice of Hammerlow, lost an arm in the Trade Revolution. Sylvia, the voice of Light, is completely deaf. And Roger Penny, the voice of Tax, has a massive scar right across his face. Sombra is as crooked as they come, and even Locket is missing a tail or two, or so they say. Oi! And she has like loads of them. The point is, even perfect isn't perfect. There's no such thing. How do you know all this? Shale smiled, turned her back, and lifted her hair. Upon her back were 2 parallel lines, a lighter shade than the rest of her skin, from her shoulders to her lower back. Remember, I told you I was from topside? Are those scars? Said Lucy, rising to her feet. Where my wings used to be. Shale let down her hair. No, I'm so sorry. It hurt for a little while. Not the pain, just the notion of it. But aren't you angry? It's complicated. We're not saved from our falls, nor stifled when we rise. We're not told how to think or what is right or judged by how we appear. Only by our choices, our mistakes, but also our triumphs. We are free to choose who we trade with, who we listen to, who we befriend, who we kill. You wear your choices, I wear mine. Shale's face began to fade with the town. We should be thankful we were ever allowed to make them. We should be thankful we still are. I could blame the world, hate the world, try to change the world, but the world doesn't care. Nature doesn't care. In the end, we are what we are. Adapt or die, Lacemaker. That's why you won't help Wiley. The city has never taken kindly to incompetence. And it never will. Mark me. You didn't stay just for the job. Shale lowered her eyes. I care about this place. I do. I care about Wiley and the friends I've made here. But the story of dire promises, deals in the dark, it's too familiar. And the ending wasn't so good the last time. I'm glad you're staying, said Lucy, who now gazed across Mivian, silhouetted by the light, twinkling within distant towns, carving upward and overhead. With little else to say, the 2 inkers looked silently out into the dark until the cold air forced them inside to sleep. This scene is good on paper, but is absolutely terrible. This bubble of dialogue is trying to sound inspirational, but the logic collapses the second you remember the world Fennah has spent hundreds of pages building. Shale's argument boils down to, hey look, even the powerful people are damaged, therefore perfection doesn't exist. Fine. That would work as a decent theme for a normal story, but this is not a normal world. This is a eugenic society. This is a world where weakness, deformities, failures, biological inferiority are not just treated as social disadvantages, they are reasons to kill other Kivawakians. These creatures are not born with the right to simply exist. The book constantly frames the underbirth, this city, as one obsessed with usefulness, competence, strength, purity, and intelligence. So when Shell suddenly lists all these high-class Kivawakians with disabilities, scars, missing limbs, blindness, deafness, and other deformities, the scene does not come off as wise. It feels like the author has forgotten the rules of his own world. If Lockett's laws are to kill weakness and keep the gene pool clean, then why is Quinn allowed to be blind? Why is Sylvia allowed to be deaf? Why is Methuselah allowed to be missing an arm? Why are scarred, crooked, and physically damaged people allowed to occupy the elite positions in the Thuum and this world where that is built on brutal selection? This is not a small inconsistency. This is the direct contradiction of the premise of the entire book, that the author wants to have his tea and crumpets and eat it too. He wants the brutality and the depravity of his fetishistic eugenic world, but he also wants the emotional comfort of saying, actually, imperfection is normal and everyone is judged by their choices. No, pick one and stick to it. If the underworld genuinely believed weakness deserves death, then these examples need an explanation. Are the elite Kivawakians exempt? Are useful people allowed to be imperfect while those lower class creatures are cold? Is this hypocrisy? Is this propaganda? Because any of those answers would have worked. I would have loved that, but the text does not frame it that way, nor does it for the entirety of Act 2. It frames Shell as this wise teenager, and that's a problem. She says they are not judged by their appearance, only their choices, mistakes, and triumphs. But that does not match the world we've been shown for the past 400 pages. You cannot build a world on biological judgment, then suddenly claim it is actually a free, individualistic meritocracy. That is not depth. That is not wisdom. That is ideological whiplash. The most frustrating part about this section is that it almost finds a better idea on accident, at the point where the powerful are allowed to be flawed because their power protects them, while ordinary Kivawakians are killed for those same flaws. Then this would have been excellent. We would have hypocrisy within the higher ranks, the ones who live in the Thuum and some of the ones who live in the Hammerlow. That would make the society much more believable, and that would make Shale's speech even darker because she would be defending a system that pretends to be fair. Instead, this talk treats the elite Kivawakians' perfections as proof that the society is not really obsessed with perfection, and that ruins everything, because if imperfection is tolerated at the top, then the book still needs to explain why it is slaughtered at the bottom. If usefulness matters more than physical perfection, then we need to stop pretending this is purely a eugenic society. If status and power override weaknesses, then just say that. If the underbirth is hypocritical, then Fennah should have leaned into it. Do not waste my time with 400 plus pages beating readers over the head with weakness dies here, then turn 180 degrees and say, actually, even perfect isn't perfect. Fennah is trying to soften the darker implications of his world without doing the proper work in order to reconcile them. That concludes chapter 10 of Sam Fennah's Amygdala. In summary, Lucy will be used by Greta and Wiley in order to cover up the shipment of the ingredients to make Meyer. Creatures come in the night, make the Meyer, and disappear in the day. Wiley and Ludwig are gonna fight tooth and nail to keep Brother Gush alive, using this a lucrative business. Meanwhile, Lucy wants it to die. Shale cares for about it, but she does not want to directly help with the Maya production. Everyone starts glazing Lucy again, and that's it. If you like my autistic analyzation of books, why don't you subscribe, leave a comment, because at this point in time, the channel is very young. I'm able to answer every comment as soon as I get the notification. Share your thoughts, share your feelings. Who's your favorite character? Are you mad as me when I'm reading this book? For those of you who have the unfortunate luck of reading this book, what's your interpretation? I would love to talk to you guys about it in the comments. Until next time.